Recording in progress.
I'm going to start too early. Good evening, everyone. This is the Groton Board of Education regular meeting being held on Monday, August 25th, 2025 at 6 o'clock at Central Office in room 11, and it's being held remotely. In attendance today in person, we have Dean Antipas, Adrian Johnson, Jen White, Matt Schulman, and myself, Bev Washington. And remote, we have Mike Whitney and Dr. Andrea Ackerman, all remote. And also in attendance, we have the Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Anne-Marie Mancini. And we have Rita, I can't pronounce her last name. She's our Director of Finance, and of course the Superintendent, Susan Austin. So the first order on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Can we all stand? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible.
The next item is recognition and participation of visitors and delegations. And at this time, I'd like to say a few words about Matt Schulman.
Can I take a walk?
Matt's been on the board for almost 4 years. He's been a dedicated member of the Groton Board of Education, very concerned about the students and staff. He helped us jumpstart the mentor program after COVID, and he also chairs policy, and he sends us the longest emails ever. But he does his homework. He always comes to the board meetings prepared. He always has great input. And I have to say, I'm going to miss you. And on behalf of the Groton Board of Education, we have a plaque. It says, presented to Matthew Schulman, Groton Board of Education, 2021 to 2025, in recognition of your loyal service, dedication, and commitment to the children in the Groton Public School System. So thank you, Matthew.
I just have a few remarks I'd like to make.
Read into the record.
Won't have me to kick around anymore, say Nixon. Pretty much. This will take an honored place in our home.
Okay. You could say a couple of words if you want to. Any other board members can say if they want to say anything.
I am deeply appreciative for the time I've had on the board. Leaving was obviously my choice, but it really wasn't a choice. There were some events that most of you know about that require some personal attention. I've learned a lot. I hope I'm a better person. I don't think I hurt too many people, and that's enough.
Well, we appreciate you, Matthew, and thank you.
Real dedication.
Yeah.
And communication he also helped with.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the communication plan. I forgot about that, Matthew.
Which I don't think we had before, Matt.
No.
Well, we had, but it got kind of another, rebooting. We had a plan, but I think it got revised.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Matthew, I'll also just say I've learned a lot from you, and I really appreciate all that you've done for the board, and for me personally, and understanding and looking at things from different angles. So.
Yeah.
You've been very conscientious, I'll give you that. I can't think of a thing that you've put forward, whether I agree with it or disagree with it, that didn't come from the heart, didn't come from caring for what's going on.
Gee, I should have stayed home. This is embarrassing. I feel like I'm at my own wake.
No, you're at your own retirement party.
No.
So you're getting your flowers now.
That's terrific. Thank you.
We would have given you flowers if we didn't think men like flowers so much. So
There you go with your stereotypes.
the next meeting, you get flowers. So.
See you on Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay, the next item on the agenda is comments from citizens in regard to agenda items and other subjects of concern that lie within the jurisdiction of the Board of Education. This is the portion of the agenda where the board welcomes comments from citizens. Each presentation should be limited to 5 minutes or less. and citizens should, if possible, submit written comments. Presentations should be related to matters pertinent to Groton. Board members will only ask questions in order to clarify the speaker's presentation and cannot respond during the comments of citizens portion of the board meeting. Citizens should make their presentations from the podium and state their names and addresses for the record if they don't mind doing so. Okay.
Hello, members of the board. My name is Jacob Calvo. I'm a student at Fitch High School.
Can you spell your last name, Jacob?
C-A-P-A-L-B-O.
C-A-P-A-L-E-O.
L-B-O.
Oh, D-O.
Or B. B. Yeah. Great. Now, I'm here to represent the Fitch Robotics Team 2168 Aluminum Falcons. I would like to say on behalf of my fellow team members that this team means a lot to everyone in it, the mentors, the coaches, the students. It's been a pillar of the Groton community for nearly 20 years. It has taught generations of students not just practical job skills, but also life skills, like working in a group, being sociable, and being gracious in victory and defeat. It is not only, this team is not only about the community here in Groton, but all around the world. These students, they go to competition, and not only are they gracious to their peers, but also to their competitors. It is truly a wonderful, wonderful organization. Thank you.
I agree.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
So my name is Heather Capalbo. That's my son. We live on Foxtrot Lane in Mystic. I also have a office in Groton City on Mitchell Street. I'm an accountant. We have spoken on the phone, I think. But I'll just talk about this for a minute. I don't know what agenda item. Thank you for letting me take a minute. I don't know what agenda number this would go along with, but I wanted to talk about robotics for a minute too. Really, just as an outsider looking in and having a lot of business clients, individual clients in this area, the robotics team definitely offers a very unique opportunity to match a skill that we need here in this area with career choices and, learning all in one place. So Groton is a great place for that. We have lots of manufacturing that's being done here that's paid well and is a way that people can stay in this area. I have a lot of students. I teach at Eastern as well in the accounting field, and students are like, well, where should I, go to work? And it's very hard to be like, oh, Southeastern Connecticut, because there's not that much opportunity. But for this field, it's huge. So it's kind of great. The students learn more than they would sitting, in a classroom. It's hands-on. They learn, and they love to do it, so they have fun. They're doing teamwork. It's great for job opportunities, scholarships, and especially those kids that aren't into sports. So it just gives them somewhere else. It gives them a place to feel at home with the community. So I just wanted to, take a minute and not forget about us. We have all our stuff in boxes at the moment, and we're going to move.
We're finding a very special home.
Yeah, so we just want to, get unpacked so we can have a successful season and recruit more people. So anything we can do as a team or parents to help, let us know. All right? Thank you.
Thank you. Mark, is there anyone online that would like to speak?
Sherry Fractus is on there. I don't know if she hasn't raised her hand though.
Okay. All right. Okay, moving right along. Do we have response to citizens?
Just a big thank you very much for coming. It means a lot to us when people come in.
And just to know, we're working on it. We are working on it.
We're going to do a walkthrough of the old auto shop and thinking it could be a manufacturing hub, working with EV. So daytime too.
Student representative report, not yet. I guess in September
No,
we'll see them.
September they'll be here.
Okay. All right, next item is superintendent and assistant superintendent report. Can I just say one thing? On September 2nd, facilities committee will be meeting up at the high school, and we're going to be looking at the area where possibly the robotics team will meet. So feel free to meet us up there. We meet at 6 o'clock.
We'll probably use the conference room or maybe even the library, depending on how many people are there. But we're actually going to walk through the wood shop, the auto shop, and there's a computer lab down there too. Sherry Fakis has gone down there with us, and I invited her to come to this meeting along with Fire Chief, because the Fire Chief needs to be on board understanding the parameters before even, we get it mapped out. So we're working with him.
Okay. September 2nd, Fitch High School, 6 o'clock. Okay, next is the superintendent's report.
So it's been a very busy summer, as you know. We've had camps and summer schools. We actually had a robotics camp, and you had Aluminum Falcon friends who were there, and we had a great turnout. I think we could do 2 weeks next year. So, but it's been a very busy time over the summer. There's been curriculum work for teachers. I did welcome them back at convocation, and Matthew joined me on the stage, and he gave a wonderful presentation, welcome aboard. Andrea Ackerman was in the audience as well. But you could just hear the buzz of excitement when the faculty comes back. So glad to be back and to greet the kids, and it never gets old for me. It's just an exciting time of the year, especially when those school buses start coming in. So I really applaud our staff for all the work they've done. During the convocation, I talked about belonging as being really a focus, that we want all kids to belong. We want them engaged in their learning so that they want to come to school. And we were really going to look at attendance very closely, that we want everybody there, the kids and the grown-ups as much as possible, because that's when real learning happens, when everybody is there. So, I said in Groton, our schools serve as a launch pad of all kinds of possibilities, and kids are encouraged to explore and to lead and to soar. And of course, our rise at Falcons Rise, and that's our really portrait of the graduate. And we think about that from pre-K all the way through 12. So, we've got professional learning happening this week, and we have last week we had the new teacher orientation, and I tried to put in the board notes the little video. I don't know if you were able to click on, but you could meet some of our new teachers on there, and there was a link to the actual convocation that was listed. And we had Congressman Courtney come and visit, because he's very interested in our partnership with EB and creating a manufacturing center in the old auto shop at Fitch High School. So he was listening, and he's talking about, where we could potentially, he has given out congressional monies before. We actually got $1 million through his congressional award to get the career pathway going with Chelsea Courtwright, who's a counselor at your school. And so he's going to be, making sure he's thinking of Groton. He really loves Groton, and thinking of us as we go through this, as well as our friends and partners at Electric Boat. So it's a very exciting opportunity. There are lots of, not only EB, but there's a lot of manufacturing and machining going on in the whole southeastern Connecticut. So, with that being said, our school buses start rolling in K through 12 on Wednesday. We're very excited. And then the next group, the next day, on the 28th, pre-K, TK, and preschool will all be arriving. And they'll all be together on Friday, so we'll have everybody in the seat Thursday and Friday. And then we have the Labor Day weekend. So we go from a 3-day with kids to a 4-day, and kind of that easing in is good for everybody, I think. It's a nice, smooth transition. And then, before the Labor Day weekend. So very exciting, looking forward to this year, prioritizing attendance and being together and belonging. And so that's kind of our goal for this upcoming year.
Any questions for the superintendent? Adrian?
Yeah, so where do we stand on robotics?
So we have the fire chief who's recommended that it be at Fitch, because that's where it's equipped to handle it. So we're doing the walkthrough on the 2nd. And the chief of the fire marshal is joining us, who's responsible for that building, as is the coaches have been invited, and a couple other people who've been working on this pathway. So
we're talking about sharing a space between manufacturing and robotics then?
Well, there's 3 different spaces, so we'll have to figure that out with an architectural plan.
All right, and what about the I don't want to call them portable sprinklers, but the,
He said we could not use Mary Morrison because it has been saved as a K through 5 school, and with the potential enrollment that the congressman was also interested in, if we transfer it over even for a day or a year to, manufacturing, it will take all kinds of resources to get it equipped. He doesn't even think that it would be able to be done that way. So he has advised doing the deeper dive at Fitch.
the fire marshal?
Fire marshal.
Is it the same fire marshal that over?
No, different.
No.
Different.
All right.
There's different fire marshals, but he has a lot of responsibility in the town, this particular fire marshal. Bednar.
Paquonic Bridge Fire District?
Yeah.
All right, and then one other thing, there was a request for some kind of a report on the budget transfer from 2025, which I think we've talked about a few times.
Budget
And I'm
transfer.
wondering if that, so the budget transfers that occurred on upload, when the document was being uploaded. This is going
Are
back.
you talking about the beginning of this year? Beginning of
It came up
25?
last year in budget, and it was the beginning, it would have happened in July of '24, I believe.
I thought we talked about
We've
that.
talked about it a couple times, but right
Yeah,
now,
we did.
Rita is very busy getting the state report done for the end of 25. So
Yeah, I mean, I
that's
think
her
this
priority.
was requested in a finance meeting in June, I believe, or maybe before.
Yeah, we talked about it in finance.
We
And we
have
gave,
talked about
and Dean gave a report on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I?
We moved past there. We gave a report on that and everything. Well, maybe you didn't move past that, but we gave a report on,
I can speak to it when we talk about the financials.
okay.
All right.
All right. Let me just jump back because people just came in. Did you all want to speak in the citizens' comment portion of the board meeting?
No, we just came just listening. Sir, really appreciate your comments about the robotics.
Could you speak from the podium now? Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
All right.
I just want to give you a chance because you came in, but, I don't want to not give you a chance.
Sorry, my name is Erwin Madison. I just wanted to speak about the robotics team. I seem like it's been a slow push to get us from the school that we're at now to where we're going to be going. We're hoping that we will be going into Mary Morrison. I understand there are some issues. I understand it's going to be coming up soon. There's going to be a meeting with the fire marshal, and hopefully we can put a bigger agenda on going to Mary Morrison and get those sprinklers fixed. That's really all I got to say at this moment. Thanks. Thanks for your time.
You want to speak on Mary Morrison again?
No, I think I've said it. I think we'll be
Well,
discussing
he's
it.
hoping we can go to Mary Morrison. So.
I heard that, but the fire chief.
I know, that's why I want you to speak
Well,
on that again.
were you here when I said the fire marshal has
No.
Yes,
advised us
yes,
to-
and hopefully I'm going to be present when he does a walkthrough and,
Okay.
and then talk with him.
That would be great.
Yeah.
So that's next.
September,
Second.
no, it's,
Second.
yeah, September 2nd, 6 o'clock at Fitch High School.
Oh, excellent.
Okay? All right.
Oh, yeah.
Did anybody else over there? Did your son want to talk? Anybody? No? Okay.
Bev, just for the record, we need his address.
Okay. You want to state your address too, sir?
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Again, Erwin Madison. My address is 67 Leafwood Lane, unit 256 in Groton. You need zip code?
06 something.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think Mike's got his hand up.
Mike, you have a question?
Yeah, I've heard the discussion. I do want a straight, ultimately a straight yes or no if the portable sprinklers are allowable and sufficient in Mary Morrison. I know Sam was looking into that, but I think we should get that yes or no because we need to keep our options open, and that does seem like something that he could tell us definitively.
Well, I'll ask him to be prepared for that on Tuesday.
Okay. All right. Next is reports from, reports and information per se.
Before I start, Adrian, were you questioning budget transfers that were related to robotics, or just?
No.
Oh, okay.
This was before you got here, and I'm not sure if you would know, but it was basically budget transfers that happened at the, they call it the upload of the FY25 budget.
It was 3 people before you.
So it would have happened
Well, Ray,
July of '24?
Ray, I think, was here at that point.
Well, what we talked about in Finance Committee is that once I'm closed this year, I am going to run a true-up budget transfer, which should have all the budget transfers from what was approved to the balance. And I can search for any budget transfers that were done back in July and August of last year.
Yeah, so there was differences between the budget that was inputted and the budget that was approved by the board, and I was just hoping for a report on what those differences were.
Okay. That might take me some time, but I can work on it.
I mean, it's like 8 months old now, so I don't think.
Yeah, I guess we didn't talk about the 8 months
But I just
old
wanted to-
budget transfers. We did talk about newer budget transfers.
We did not forget.
We didn't forget about it, so don't say we forgot. We did talk about it in finance.
I thought we were going to get a report.
We did. We got a report in finance. And then Dean reported out on it.
I can check to the minutes of the different meetings.
But Rita will search on it.
The large budget transfer that I know about when I started with Ray was the $300,000 that went from supplies. It was moved from one category to the correct category. But that's the only one I know about that was done prior to me starting.
All right.
But I can do a comparison.
I'll listen to the meeting, and then I'll send an email.
Okay.
Okay, so Rita's going to talk about the general fund expenditure summary, and that's attachment 1, and then she'll go into healthcare, and that's attachment 2.
So as of last Thursday, we've closed out almost all the POs, and there is a surplus, as you can see, of $772,000. And the differences were mainly over encumbrances in utilities, transportation. Those were the large ones. But I gave you the detail with Ray's notes. I didn't add any more notes. We still have $800,000 encumbered to go to OPEB, and the rest of the encumbrances should be cleared out today when Kate closes all the POs. So I'm anticipating that this 772 isn't going to change that much. I'm closing all the grants as well, which can impact the general fund slightly. So it might have a change here or there, $1,000 here or there, but not a major impact. So I just wanted to present this and ask, about whether or not we are going to put that into the non-lapsing fund for next year, for the FY26 year. Do you have any questions?
Any questions? Dean?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, when we met earlier in the month, we were looking at a available balance of $31,000. I know you've given your explanation. We had an available balance of $31,000, and at the time, at the end of the year, you're always, and even when you go past the end of the fiscal year, there's a little bit of nail biting, and we were hoping that would hold. And then we see something that's just like an order of magnitude different. And again, I've heard the explanation, but wow, in a good way, wow. I still can't, it's got like a pinch me moment. Is this real?
I mean, I didn't put the encumbrances in there, obviously, because I started on June 23rd.
Right.
And I try to audit them, on a quarterly basis when I'm finance director. So I can't really explain except where the big differences were. I do notice that in one of the lines, we received the extra money from the excess cost that was posted on June 23rd, so I don't know if that had anything to do with the encumbrances being there. But yes, I believe it's real. We had 150 POs open when I did the last report in July, so that's that's a lot of BOs to have open at that time of the year. And I hope by next year we won't have that many open. I like to close the years by July 31st because the report, like Susan said, the huge report is due next week. So I am scrambling, trying to close all the grants and get that report done in time. But I was a little shocked as well, you know.
Yes.
But I'm just pulling it from the system
Who
and,
expected this?
yeah.
And if that's real, darn tootin' we put in the non-lapsing fund.
Matthew?
I'd like to respond to your question about whether we put it in the non-lapsing fund with a question of my own. I seem to recall, and please correct me if I'm wrong, folks, because finance is not my strength at all, that when the change in, when the council did not approve the budget that we had initially asked for, that I seem to remember us looking down the long barrel of increasing utility bills and heating bills and wondering how we were going to get through all of this. So my question, and I'm not advocating a thing, it's just a question, is do we need to put all of it in the, are we best served by putting all of it in the non-lapsing fund or part of it in the non-lapsing fund and holding some for a few more months to see how we're doing with utilities?
Well, we can't hold it because the September 2nd's report to the state is what we spent last year. So that has to be closed. And the $772,000, we either roll it into the non-lapsing fund or we give some back to the town. I think we're going to need it this year because we received a $2 million cut, correct? We've cut health insurance of 1.3, you know, and I'm already seeing areas from the schools that are, you know, reaching out to me saying, you know, like supplies, we cut that a lot. There's certain areas that I really do believe that we need those funds. So that's why my recommendation.
For the public's benefit as much as my own, is the understanding correct that if the money is in the non-lapsing fund and we have a legitimate expense that's beyond what we have in our current year budget, that we can take it out of the lapsing fund to keep our budget in control?
Correct.
Perfect. Thank
Correct. And we have, the law says we can roll over up to 2%. And obviously this is less than, this is less than the 2%.
And didn't you say that there were some goods that didn't come in so that we had to close it out, but we told the principals that you can still order it if you need it?
Well, that's another thing
next
that
year.
there were some encumbrances for facilities, but when parts don't come in on time, they can't do the job. So we had to close those. So there is some amounts that Sam is waiting on that should have been, you know, taken out of last year's budget, but the job wasn't done on time because the parts weren't in on time. So things like that happened as well as the over encumbrances in, you know, special ed transportation and utilities. There's a lot of different factors to that $700,000. If you look at the detail from last time to this, to
So we're still going to incur the expense.
yes,
Just not in the.
correct. We are going to have expenses that we planned on using last year's funds for. So that's why I'm recommending.
Putting it in non-lapsing
Yes.
fund.
So small bells and whistles, not giant bells and whistles.
I feel like some of it's already, you know, held or
Yeah.
committed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
There are worse problems.
Yeah.
So this report, Rita, is for last year, I take it?
So this is for last year. This year's FY26, I'm just going to give you a heads up. We won't have things encumbered like salaries and all of that until September. So I typically don't give an FY26 report till the end of September
Yeah.
because I'm still closing out these and the audit's going to start on these expenses. So, yeah, I just wanted to let you know that.
And she's had to do grants herself. She's got quite a new team, and they're learning all kinds of things like payroll, and so Rita has been right by everybody's side, and it's a wonderful team that's coming together, and they're working together, but they have a lot of new learning, and she's had to take on some of the responsibilities. It's fortunate that she's probably done everything in a business office one can do.
Yeah.
So
I have a
I would
question,
like-
Rita.
oh,
Is there anything from last year that we should be concerned about moving forward? That you see in last year's budget that we should be concerned about?
other than the projects that didn't get completed for Sam, that we have already kind of said we have to put him in this year. That's why I'm suggesting we carry over those funds. I don't have a total for you right now, but I could get a total because I'm just trying to close these out and file the report.
And the parenthesis means that we under budgeted, right?
Correct.
So clerical on 144. It says clerical administration. In FY25, we only budgeted 5,000, but so far we spent 131,000. So hopefully in FY25-26 budget, we put more money in that line.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully.
No, I'm sorry, that's us. And I'm thinking there's such a great discrepancy between those two figures, that might have just been sort of like a reclassification.
It could have been. It could have been. Yeah, there's reclassification that happens all the time with salaries. So when I'm looking at salaries, I typically look at the total, net. But I do look at, I will be looking at every position and this coming year and making sure that we stay in line with what's budgeted. And if it's not in line, why, and do we need to make a transfer? With salaries, I only make transfers probably twice a year because they fluctuate so much on a daily basis when people are either doing under hours or extra hours or overtime, So, yeah. So,
Jen, you have a question?
Actually, it's not a question, it's more of a statement. So in the finance meeting, Rita had mentioned that she's going to submit transfers and monitor, and she has a nice plan that she shared, I can't remember which finance committee meeting. So I do have utmost confidence that our encumbrances or reserves will not be fluctuating as they had this past year. And as you guys know, I'm the most severe complainer about going from 13 million to 1 million to 5. So I remember these numbers, but so I know with what Rita has shared with the finance committee that we will probably not be experiencing that because she'll have a tighter control and more control in place. So looking forward to this year.
thank you. And I am concerned about the 31,000 to the 772.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's why it just, needs to be monitored with transfers. And I've already let the leadership know when we met last week that budget transfers are a must between department, even in the same department, so that we know where we are. Yeah.
Well, the budget there's an element of guesswork in it.
There is. It's a projection. It's totally a projection, and so you are going to have, you're going to have transfers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you were spot on, I'd be very suspicious.
Yeah, that doesn't usually happen.
No, it doesn't usually.
Budget's usually dead on arrival, basically. It's only good the day you sign it, typically. Seriously.
Thank you, Rita. This was great. I love the narrative.
I will, include more narrative once I get to know the budget and understand it and know what's going in and out.
And the details, too.
Yeah.
Because historically, we've had a one-pager to look at each month, and this gives a little more insight, too. And you had mentioned 4 times a year doing quarterly reports,
For the
too.
council.
For the council.
It will probably be the monthly reports, but but I gave you the months that we will be submitting to them.
Yeah, and John's going to, I forwarded it to John, but he's
Okay.
going to give it to the council. You want to talk about attachment number 2?
So I looked at this briefly. I did look into whether or not the ARC's claims, I think there was a question at a finance meeting regarding the credits that we get for prescriptions, and I'm told that they're done monthly. So, we have a healthy balance in the fund, and it looks like July's is, it's lower than we expected, because typically July and August you see a spike in people going to the doctors and stuff because school's out. But but also it takes time for those claims to process. You could be up to a 2-month lag of claims processing. So Right.
Sometimes for my own insurance, I see like a year's lag. I'm like, oh, did I doctor last year? Is this going through the insurance now? Yeah. So any questions about attachment number 2?
Any questions?
No?
You inspire confidence. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you, Rita.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Rita.
You're welcome.
So
Okay.
Sam had a meeting before this. I just texted him to see when he's coming, so if we want to move forward, we'll go back to him.
Can
He's
I-
at the CV, they had to
Just
do
wanted to say one-
an inspection from the fire department.
All right.
Can I say one more thing
Go ahead.
before? So once I close out and get the real number, this 772 is really close, but it's not exact because there's still encumbrances.
Right.
I will bring it to the board so that you can officially say to move the funds into the non-lapsing if that's
Yeah.
what we're going to do. Okay?
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Rita.
Yeah. You need me? No, no. And
Okay.
same thing, Anne Marie, I know you have a long haul too, so, yeah.
All right, next on committee reports, policy.
We're going to have first and 3 policies reviewed this evening as first and second readings. You'll hear more when we talk about those. Library and trails will next.
Well, I didn't get there yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Next is curriculum. No meeting.
Yeah, we did not meet.
Okay. Finance and facilities.
We did meet August 5th, and you were there. You know all about it. No, so we had a director of finance report, and at the time, as we recapped here, we were in the black. Just the main topic of discussion there was reviewing out-of-district tuition rates, which I think is on our agenda tonight. And also, we reviewed with Sam the facilities and use rate schedule, which is also on the agenda tonight. So we'll get to those. If I've missed something critical, let me know. There's a lot that's happened between now and when we met on the 5th.
I think that's it.
Okay.
Okay. Ad hoc budget procedure committee, they did not meet yet. AGSA, GEA Board of Ed liaison, we don't meet until October, I think. Athletic fields, Ian's not here, so no report on that. Learn doesn't meet in the summer. Our first meeting will be the second Friday in September. Library and trails, go ahead.
The library and trails will be next meet in September, and you'll decide how you want to take those positions.
Okay. All right. Jay, when did you arrive, Jay?
I arrived at 6:39.
Okay. Thank you, Jay. Okay, next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Approval of regular meeting minutes of July 28th, 2025, special meeting minutes of August 4th, 2025, special meeting minutes of August 6th, 2025, and special meeting of August 18th, 2025. Any corrections or comments about the meeting minutes? Adrian?
Yeah, under response to comments for citizens.
Which one?
Sorry, July 28th.
Okay.
It said that Mr. Johnson noted that he did speak once at town council, but not on behalf of the board. I would like a little bit more clarification, if it's acceptable to everyone, just to say that I spoke in regard to the needs for parks at Pleasant Valley, which I believe I said in that meeting.
In regards to the need for parks at Pleasant Valley?
Correct.
Okay.
Bev, do we have a motion for the consent? Because if not, I'll move the consent items.
Okay.
And then we'll have a second, then we'll, right, I think.
Okay, motion to move on the consent agenda by Dean. Do I have a second? Jen?
All right. I was reading the responses for the July 28th meeting. Very diplomatically summarized, but I'll hold back from actually inserting more detailed and comments. So,
Any other comments?
Actually, I said the need for parks. I think I wrote here just in support of a park at Pleasant Valley,
In regards to support?
not need.
Oh, and support.
Okay. Any other comments, corrections? No? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Andrea and Jay both said aye, so that's passed.
Is that as amended?
As amended.
Yeah.
As amended. Okay, get rid of all this. Okay. Next is old business. Discussion and possible action regarding a second reading of policy P5131.911, Connecticut School Climate. That's attachment number 7. Okay, who's going to discuss it, you or Matthew?
Yeah, I don't think Denise is on, but she did meet with us during the policy meeting, and she's really had taken this one under her lead and, discussed it with the administrators as well, and they put together a presentation for the staff. So this is really taking the place of the bullying policy, but it does weave in the forms that we had used, and it has some new forms. So it's really anything that would affect the culture and climate in a building. We did add the definitions. I think that was Mike Whitney's idea. It was in the regulations, but we went and added it to policy. Did you want to speak to that at all, Matthew?
Well, first of all, I wanted to thank Mike for pointing out that anomaly. Basically, this is not a district-generated policy. This is a mandated state policy. And so we've already played with it a little bit, moving the definitions, but it met Mike's concern, and I'm happy. And I saw Denise wasn't here. I looked at that as a vote of confidence, because if she weren't happy, she'd have been here.
No, she's very happy with what has happened. And you can see the green is all the new language, the red is what has been stricken and no longer viable.
So this is a second.
And we also included regulations, although that is really the process of how we implement the policy. The staff does.
So this is a second reading that will become policy if it passes tonight.
Right. And it's required for July 1 or for the start of school, so it's important that we do pass it.
Any comments, questions? Dean?
I had issues with this on the first reading. The issues are the same, which is, the goal today is a noble one, fostering positive climate, et cetera, et cetera. We all know the saying, the road to you-know-where is paved with good intentions. My concern is that the policy is overly broad, and while competent, reasonable people may be in charge of it today, that may not always be the case, and it could be the avenue for really effectively tamping down people who might come along and say, challenge a dominant narrative, or who, because if somebody says, well, I felt uncomfortable because Johnny said something in class and, I was upset about that. Well, common sense used to dictate that we knew what was legit upset and what was, you just heard something you didn't like to hear. And we used to be able to make that distinction. I'm not confident that we'll always be able to do that, and I'm afraid of adopting a policy that's going to give the administration, faculty, staff a tool to basically tell somebody to be quiet because they've said something that challenges like I said, maybe a dominant narrative. Everybody knows blah blah blah. And somebody says, well, that isn't so. And because we've had many examples for years now, not just in this country but in other countries, of people coming out and saying, I was made to feel uncomfortable by something somebody said, and therefore I want that person to shut up. And many times this has been beaten back. But people are very, very open now about saying, well, I was made to feel uncomfortable, not because of my gender, my race, my whatever. They'll sometimes feed that in, but because I just didn't like hearing that. Somebody challenged my religious tenet, or my philosophical tenet, or my political beliefs. Too bad. That's what I'm concerned with things like this. Like I said, we're the people driving the bus now, perfectly reasonable, competent, et cetera. But yeah, I just feel like sometimes we're very quick to bring on very broad, nice-sounding policies that then can be abused in the future, because if they, like weapons, if they can be used, they will be used.
Unfortunately, this comes from the state, so.
I understand, and this is as that commercial said, this is my way of sticking it to the man.
Yeah.
So I'm going to vote no.
So now, instead of a bullying form, we have challenging behavior reporting form, and we need to notify the parents, of course, the child who might be having the challenging behavior and those that have been affected by it in a serious way. So the fact is that I just like that we're not calling someone a bully. You know, if they've had challenging behavior, then it's more on the positive nature that we get support for the student and students involved. So.
Any other comments? Concerns? Adrian?
I brought this up. I don't have the actual policy number because I can't get online right now, but it was the policy right after this that talked about cyberbullying. And the question was if that, since this policy was kind of changing, if that policy was going to change or get incorporated into this policy.
I will find out for you. I don't remember us discussing that, Matthew.
No, maybe maybe you think that would be best referred to the policy committee to take a look at it.
Take a look. Yeah, we could look at that more closely.
And
See what
if they do,
is suggested.
come to the meeting. I mean,
All right.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Susan, would it be possible for you to come back in October to COW meeting, and give us an update on this? Because I see, and it says you're going to have committees and all that stuff, and so just to see where we are, how the committees are going.
Right.
And I see that you're going to be the coordinator. Is that the title?
Well, I think actually Denise will be overseeing this, but the superintendent may have responsibility for it,
Okay.
having been done.
All right. So maybe in October, you can come back and give us an update on this policy. Is there any budget implications on this policy? Because it says the district shall allocate funding to satisfy the requirements of this policy for all schools in the district.
There is a huge drive to have more restorative practices so that students really understand what has happened. Someone trying to speak?
Oh, sorry. I just unmuted.
Oh, Denise, you're there.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I just wanted to share that there is funding that is that needs to be allocated for professional development.
Okay.
But we have been doing the restorative practices for a very long time, but I think, and we do have some good people who work on that, so I think that will continue. Do you know if the state is going to be providing any resources for unfunded mandates around this?
Well, I'm not aware at this point. I know that our RESC Learn is providing an 8-part series for each school's climate specialist to attend so that they understand their role in the building in terms of, the climate, chairing the climate committee, responding to reports of challenging behavior, and, supporting students through the crisis intervention team that may meet to review strategies and interventions to help the students manage their behavior. So I believe that the training will be very in-depth and it will touch upon restorative practices because that is also a policy that we'll be looking at this school year through the committee because there is legislation through this bill that requires an expanded use of restorative practices to address challenging behavior that is not violent, aggressive, or a crime. So we will be probably investing a little bit more in training of our staff, specifically our school climate specialists.
And I don't know if if you heard Adrian's question, but he brought up a very good point, because a lot of times this is done, you know, even from homes, online, cyberbullying is really a problem. Do you know if that will be, that other policy will be coming up?
So I think we need to take a look at that because it may overlap with the appropriate use policy. The cyberbullying policy hasn't been looked at in a while, but I know we have a really robust appropriate use policy. So I would agree with Matthew that it would probably be a really good idea for the policy committee to review the cyberbullying policy and see if it's still needed as a standalone policy.
When is the training going to take place?
At Learn.
No, when?
I don't have the flyer at home with me right now, but it's an 8-part series. I believe it starts in October, and it's 1 month. I think it's a half-day session, 1 month each school year.
Okay.
Or throughout the school year.
Okay. Adrian, could you put that referral? Can you send it to me?
Yeah.
That's cyberbullying. Dean?
Yeah, Denise.
Yeah.
So right now, the discipline stats that have to be reported to the state are the ISS, the OSS, and the actual expulsions, right?
Well, actually, we report the offenses too. So whatever's entered into the discipline log in Power School is then organized by our Power School manager, and it's uploaded into the ED 166. It's a report that looks at all of the offenses and all of the sanctions for the offenses.
Okay, so that's, in other words, I was under the impression that when the state reported stats by school district, disciplinary stats, what they were reporting was in-school suspension, OSS, expulsions, but anything
Yes.
else, they didn't. But what you're saying is we tell them everything, but then
Yep.
they report back as stats only the ISS, OSS, and expulsions.
Yes, we get a detailed report in the district in terms of what's reported on the ED 166. I don't have a lot to do with that report, so that's not really my area of specialty, but I know we do get notified if we have certain groups of students that exceed state targets for suspension and expulsion. And I think that is on Ed's site. You can look up the discipline data and you can look it up by subgroup. So I think they do zero in on those offenses or those sanctions because they're removals from school. At least the OSS and the expulsion is. The ISS, kids are still participating in their educational program, but, they're not going to class. They're working in the ISS room. But they are considered, to some degree, especially the OSS and the expulsions, they're considered removals. And that's, something that the state is trying to decrease because we know that we want kids in school.
Last time when we went over this policy, you had a very earnest concern about racial disparities when it came to discipline, and you were hoping that this was going to flatten all that out. The state stats, unless they've changed dramatically in the last couple of years, used to report that our boys were 2.4 times as likely as our girls to be disciplined. Are you hoping for the same effect?
Well, I think the intent of the school climate improvement legislation is for teams to work collaboratively to develop strategies and interventions to address the challenging behavior so that the climate will improve, everyone will feel, obviously safe, and, classrooms won't have to be cleared and students won't have to leave the room for periods of time. They're also hoping that through the use of restorative practices, the use of suspension and expulsion will decrease unless obviously the offense involves violent or aggressive behavior or behavior that violates a crime. That's where this is headed.
Do you expect that the actual incidence of of offenses will change, so the proportion of offenses will change, or simply that the stats will change?
Well, I think that's where the training comes in with the staff. We still have our discipline matrices at the middle school and high school that say, if you commit this offense, this is the consequence. The goal for the state is to have some of that go away so that there's more of a restorative approach to helping students understand what they did and why it was hurtful to others or why it violated a school rule and the effect that it has on the school community to change behavior.
Right, but so in an ideal world, no students ever commit any offenses ever, right? In an ideal world, which we're not going to see. But a step or two below that would be that whether you're talking on the basis of race, gender, I'll just stick to the gender one for a second, that through our programs, we will actually see not just changes in how the offenses are dealt with, but we will actually see boys and girls, if I may use an old-fashioned pair of terms, boys and girls offending at the same rate. Is that your goal?
I don't know. I haven't really looked at it through that lens. I think the whole goal of improving school climate is making the school climate a safer place where everyone can learn. So that would certainly include, decreasing the amount of incidents that disrupt the environment or negatively affect the learning environment. And that would be the goal for all students.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We'd like to see fewer of these, especially with expulsion, so,
Well, who wouldn't?
Any other comments? Okay. Matthew, you want to make the motion to approve the policy?
I move we adopt policy P5131.911, Connecticut School Climate Policy, as for second reading as submitted to us.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Jan? Okay. Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Oops, sorry. Yeah, I'm voting against.
Aye.
Mike, did you say aye?
Yes.
Okay. Jay, did you say aye?
Oh, Lord.
Aye.
Andrew,
Aye.
did you say aye?
Yes.
Okay. Matthew, you're aye. Jen, you're aye. Adrian, aye.
I'm no.
I'm an aye. And what
I'm a
do you-
no.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so that makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ayes, 1 no. Any abstentions? Okay. Thank you. Okay, next item is the therapy dog. Discussion and possible action regarding a second reading of policy P6163.33, therapy dog. That's attachment number 8. Matthew, you want to talk on this?
So this would be a second reading, if I'm not mistaken, to approve I'll make the motion. I move we adopt policy 6163.33 as a second reading as submitted to the board.
You have a second?
Second.
A second, Dean.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
And I guess I'd like to turn this over to Denise if she'd like. Oh, and Leah is here as well. Could we make Leah? Oh, you are.
All right, Denise, you want to talk on this?
I haven't been as involved in this policy, I think, as Leah and Susan have.
I can speak to it too, Denise. There are a few things that we
Thank you.
were confirming. One of the things we confirmed with our insurance consultant regarding the policy that Leah's provided to have this program at GMS, and that we needed to have some additional items to follow up with from the business office. So what we needed or required was a copy of the current dog license, proof of current rabies vaccination, certification of the therapy dog designation, and certification of insurance showing current liability coverage of at least $1 million, per occurrence for Leah and her dog as primary insured with a waiver of subrogation, and naming the town of Groton and Groton Board of Ed as additional insured, but they would be subrogated, so it would really fall on the original documentation of insurance first. Leah, those were the things that I think that you will be providing. Is that true?
Yes. So, yeah, what I confirmed today with the insurance, so they can add additionally insured along with the primary non-contributory and waiver of subrogation forms. So those are just additional. She said they were $25 for each one.
Okay.
So that would mean that this would be the priority insurance if something were to occur, and that the insurance company can't come back to the town to regain those funds.
So those were the things that we wanted to ensure, that we were not held, to that level of liability, but we were covered, fully covered.
The only question I had, which is, I do not see it addressed in here. We're very clear on Willow and Leia. That's crystal. But what's the process by which somebody else says, I would like to bring a dog in, whether it's a staff member or somebody who has a legal therapy dog? Will you be dealing with that in regulations?
Well, we would assess the need. We would look at each individual case. They would also have to go through what Leah has gone through, which has taken quite a while. And she has been offered a grant to support the insurance and some other things too. So, I don't see it as something that everybody's going to come and want to bring their pet, because there's a lot of work that goes behind this to kind of ready it, and we'd have to look at each individual situation.
Well, regulations are clearly the superintendent's domain,
Right.
and we have nothing to say except you're courteous enough to bring your regs to us and let us look at them. But I would encourage you to look a couple of steps, 3 steps ahead, and include in the regulations what you feel is most appropriate as a process should anybody else want to do it.
Does Leah have all the documentation? You have all the documentation that she's required to have?
Leah, I do believe you have all the documentation, isn't that right?
Yes. So I've already sent in the certification, the registration, and they have to be the dog has to be registered in the town where you live. And then also the vaccination records, and the only thing I don't have is the insurance. I was just waiting for the policy to put in place so I can purchase the insurance.
So once you get the go-ahead, you'll be able to purchase, and they'll have that language regarding
Yes.
subrogation, because I know that came from both the town and the board's insurance company that needed to happen.
Yeah, I called today, and she said that, the insurance consultant said that I can fill out the form online to purchase the insurance, and that she would add the primary non-contributory and the waiver of subrogation to the policy as well.
Okay. I would just encourage the superintendent to make sure we have the correct documentation.
Yes, I will.
So we don't get caught up
Yeah.
in finding out we didn't have the correct
Right. So,
documentation.
Leah-
And then something happens.
Make sure that once that's done, I get all of the paperwork.
Yep.
And
Sure.
do it like we do all processes. We have in the business department, we have someone who, anytime someone is renting space here, they have to bring their certificate like this. And I don't know if we've ever been asked for a waiver of subrogation, but in talking to staff in the business office, they said, well, that's a good idea. Like, that should be part of the process anyway that we go through. So we'll follow the same process that we do any time that we're, allowing our space to be used in a different way.
And I just wanted to say too, sorry, Beverly. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I just wanted to say too that AAIP, the organization through which this insurance is, they also have a new program where they have someone that can come out to the school and provide feedback about the program. So while my first intention is going to be to support like our attendance initiatives at GMS, but I'll be able to sign up for this evaluation to further get other feedback on like how to run a therapy dog program. So we would be, I think, three in the state. Groton would be the third school in the state or district in the state to have a therapy dog program. So it's pretty new. So I think, getting outside feedback will be helpful in terms of designing a program.
And we did say that this was going to be a pilot. We're going to do
The
this
board
for a
had
year.
talked about it for this year, and then I think if we go through something like that, it'll be good, Leah, for you to come back to the board and give them updates periodically. So, once you get it rolling, you can maybe come back to a COW and tell us how it's going, and especially if the insurance company is giving you some feedback, that would be really helpful.
Where do we
Okay.
put that it's going to be a pilot for 1 year?
So I guess you could restructure that motion to have it pass, but, you're passing the policy, and we can go back to policy at any time if we don't need a policy like this.
Stipulating that that's what you want to do, I think we could handle that by changing the motion to have this as a policy that will sunset at June 30th of 2026 unless extended by the board.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'm going to go to Mike first, and then, did you want to say something, Adrian, too? I'm going to go.
Just answered my question.
Okay.
That was good.
So you'll make that motion when it comes up to,
Well, do you want me to withdraw the motion and make the new motion?
well, let me hear what Mike has to say, and then we'll get back. Go ahead, Mike.
Hi, sorry. I raised several concerns last time, and I don't think they've been adequately addressed. I agree with what Matthew said that in this current version, there's no indication of what process someone else would get approval to have a therapy dog. And I know the requirements, what they need, but I'd like to see that come to the board each time. So that's one element. The second one they raised last time is that I couldn't. So as a guidance counselor, and I don't see this in the job definition of guidance counselor. So I believe the union was going to be consulted on this before this meeting. So I was wondering if that happened. And then my third thing is there's still definitely, and you were talking about it, there's a lot of language about, it's the handler and then the handler's personal insurance that, or dog-related insurance that's going to cover anything first. And to me, that goes against the regulations I cited last time, the state regulations that said, I don't know if the word's indemnify, but basically protects employees from being sued or held personally responsible for injuries, et cetera, et cetera. And so, to me, I don't see those. I'd like to know if the union is consulted, but I don't see it. Any of my concerns have really been addressed. Thank you.
Can I ask Mike a question?
Mm-hmm.
Mike, what remedy would you suggest so that, is it possible to suggest a remedy that would meet your concerns and still allow this program to get off the ground now?
Well, I guess it's threefold. One, has the union been consulted and asked to weigh in on this? That would help inform us right now. That's what I asked for. Two, I really think this is during the school day by an employee. We should seek legal opinion on if this goes against that regulation I was talking about. And then, and those are two that would help it get off the ground. But since this is a policy and not a pilot or anything like this, I think we should put some language in about like a sentence or two about what it would take to get another one. Like, this one essentially is rising to level of board approval because it's a new policy and it's one specific case. I think that should happen for the others.
Did we check with the union about this?
We discussed it at a meeting, but I didn't ask them to weigh in on it. We had a discussion. I don't know, Leah, have you talked to any of the union reps in your building?
I know that one of the union reps has been sending out the meetings and she's seen it on the agenda, but they haven't approached me as, it being an issue.
And how about administration with Principal Bass?
He has supported me through this process, just because of the impact we've seen with Chase, who can't be there all the time. So, based on what I've seen, everyone's been very supportive and very excited about the prospect of this. And if I had any, I was thinking through the pilot, I could better gauge this. And if there are issues that have come up, that we could address them either through the policy or the regulations. Like I said, we're the third district in the state to be doing this. So I've been talking to Waterford as well as Old Lyme, who have piloted programs. So, it's new for everyone, but what I've gleaned from the insurance company that through AAIP, there are other schools that have had asked for those same two things with the insurance. So
the answer is no for the union. I'm taking it.
Well, they have not weighed in and said anything about her job description.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other part, we don't know if it goes against the state regulations, that this policy, if it goes against the state regulation.
We did forward it to Floyd, and he did not say that it was violating that. But I don't know. I've got Denise is raising her hand. I don't know if she had something to add to this.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to address Mike's question about Leah's job description. Leah's job description involves counseling students for various reasons, working through problem-solving methods to help students through peer mediation, resolve conflicts, develop better self-esteem. Obviously, our focus this year is on improving attendance for all of our students. So I do think that the use of a therapy dog could be considered a strategy that may appeal to some students more than others in terms of, how she's connecting with students and how she's developing relationships and connections with students. But I also wanted Leah to just clarify, my understanding was, Leah, and this may have changed since you first proposed this initiative, but my understanding was that Willow would not be at school every day of the week for the full day. Is that correct?
Yes, there definitely is going to be some adjustment for her. She's come in when it hasn't been a full school day. So, maybe 2 days a week. But she would only be, the recommendation is that she's only really working for like 1 to 2 hours. It's just that because I'm working, and having her with me while I'm working, it's a different thing than just pet partners. But yeah, she would only be actively with students total for 1 to 2 hours, just because it's so taxing. We have a lot of students, and so I don't know if that answers your question, but I do agree with you, Denise, that I feel like Willow would help supplement what I'm already doing, and it would help reach and connect to more kids. So I think it can only help.
Right. And you would make that determination, Leah, right, in terms of when you think it's appropriate to involve Willow with a student or a small group of students, so that, you're making more strategic decisions in terms of using Willow as a kind of like an instructional tool, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, so she can teach kids like how to be more empathetic and like being aware of, what dogs need, and that will in turn like translate to how they treat each other. So a lot of times, sometimes in the hallways, we see kids like bustling around and not respecting each other's space. And I did talk to Waterford about this, and she said that having her dog Buster in the hallway helped kids like maneuver around him and like learn better their spatial awareness and like respecting each other's space. Because they know that if they cross any boundaries, that they're not going to be coming. The dog's not going to be coming back. So I think it's a really good tool to also like assist with just the general community of a school. But for individual sessions or group sessions, I would ask the students first, also get parent confirmation on that. We'll also have a permission slip for parents to opt out if they don't want any interaction. But the kids ask me about her all the time, and like I said, I've already gotten thank you notes from Girls on the Run that we were at and other events. So again, I think it can only help lift up the district and the GMS community.
Okay. Adrian and Jay, and then Andrea, and then Jen.
All right, so this is kind of going off of what Mike said about the insurance. Maybe if we had a legal mind that's read insurance contracts for an opinion. But is it possible that if someone has insurance for themselves and the dog, but then there's a state law that says that person can't be held liable, the insurance company might be able to say, well, we're not liable because there's a state law that trumps the policy. So do we have if we have conflicting opinions on the insurance, is that a problem where all of a sudden we may now have some liability that there is no insurance for? I was recently told with personal property, switching insurance from one thing to another, there was going to be a couple of day overlap, and they said, no, you actually have to figure that out because you'll have no insurance, not two policies. So that's my concern, is that without having like this in line with the state law and a legal opinion on that, that we might have no insurance.
An insurer says that the insurer has two duties: a duty to defend and a duty to indemnify. By that, what's meant by that is, if the insured suffers a loss, is considered liable, then the insurance company indemnifies the insured. So if the insured actually isn't held responsible, held liable for anything, then the insurance company there's nothing to indemnify. They're not out anything. The insured is not out anything. So if the dog handler is not liable under state law, it's nothing for the insurance company to do.
Then the town would be liable.
Well, yeah, then the water is going to go someplace else.
Yeah. Okay.
So do we have an opinion from Floyd on that specific
I don't have
thing?
it.
No, but the insurance company that insures Groton Board of Ed and the town had said that you have the general liability and you must include this waiver of sub.
Yeah, but do they know the state regulation? Did they look that up?
I didn't ask if they looked it up. State
So
regulation.
that's the tricky part.
Yeah.
Did they look it up?
All right. So I have a couple of other things I'll just mention right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
This one's a little one, but on page 2, where it says therapy dog standards and procedures.
We're at on page 2.
Top of the page.
Okay.
It says therapy dog standards and procedures - continued. I don't think it's actually continued because the page before that is definitions. So I think that would be a simple one to remove the continued, unless I'm correct on that. And then,
Oh, yeah, that's not right.
so it would be, I guess I would make a motion to amend.
My sense is that that's a housekeeping
I've got another one,
detail.
too.
That's a housekeeping detail that I think.
Yeah, we could discuss
Yeah, but
that.
I've got another, so if I wanted to make a motion to amend, should I state what I want to amend first and then make the motion?
Yeah, tell us what you want to amend first, and then.
So under exclusion or removal from school, we've got 6 items listed. This is at the top of page 3. We've got 6 items listed, but they aren't really tied directly to the top of page 2, therapy dog standards and procedures. And so what I'd like to make a motion to amend would be to add a number 7 that says therapy dog and or owner handler, owner/handler.
Hold on, therapy dog and owner handler.
And or
And-
owner/handler does not adhere to, in parentheses, therapy dog standards and procedures, and in parentheses, as outlined above. So that, I think, would say if those standards and procedures hadn't been followed, that would give a reason for exclusion from school.
So your amendment reads therapy dog and or owner handler. I have that right?
Yep.
Okay. Does not adhere, where's the parentheses again?
Quotes, right? Yeah, quotes, sorry, not parentheses. Does not adhere to,
That's in quotes?
does not adhere to, then the beginning quote, therapy dog standards and procedures, end quote, as outlined above.
All right, so it says therapy dog and or owner handler does not adhere to, quotes, therapy dog's procedures, end quote, as outlined above.
Yeah, therapy dog standards and procedures, but yes.
Just like
Therapy
it
dog.
reads here.
Yeah, so it reads the same as the top of page 2.
That's why we need this stuff in writing.
Yeah, and then I'll have a little bit of discussion on that if somebody seconds it. So I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Who seconded my motion?
The main motion?
You may, Dean.
I did.
Dean did.
Would you accept, would you support what Adrian says, in which case we can just...
Do we have a second? So Adrian made the motion. Do we have a second for Adrian's motion?
I'll second
Okay.
the motion to amend, right?
Yeah, motion to amend.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So, so the reasons to include this would be like health and safety. The therapy dog must not pose a health and safety risk to any student, employee, or other person at school. That's not really covered in exclusions or removal from school, but to me that seems pretty important, so it should be. The only, well, in my writing this, the only thing that I think could be a hiccup is that it says therapy dog must not disrupt the process by barking, seeking attention, or other behavior. Would putting that number 7 in, if the dog barked once and a parent complained, would that open us up to having to pull the therapy dog out? That's the devil's advocate to my own motion. So I just wanted to throw out that line of thinking. I would like to think that there was a way that we could lean on the administration a little bit for that, on how to word that, or if to change if we needed to, or if that would just be kind of common sense.
Any other discussion on Adrian's motion? Nothing? Anybody online? Jay, Mike, Andrea? This discussion is on Adrian's motion only.
No.
Okay. Jay?
No.
Okay. All right, no further discussion. We'll take a vote on Adrian's motion, and you can read it, Adrian, again.
All right, so motion to add under exclusions or removals from school, number 7, therapy dog and/or owner/handler does not adhere to, parentheses, therapy dog standards and procedures, and parentheses, as outlined above.
Parentheses or quotes?
What's that?
Parentheses or quotes?
Oh, quotes, sorry.
Quotes. Okay, all those in favor of the motion as presented by Adrian, I'll start with you, Matthew. Yes or no?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Jen?
I'm abstaining because I'm not voting for this later.
Okay.
Why didn't controversial.
And I said Jen's abstaining.
I didn't hear why.
I'm not voting for this later.
Dean,
Aye. Since I seconded, I have to vote aye.
Adrian. Aye. Jay,
Aye.
Andrea,
No.
Mike,
I'll abstain.
and I'll say an aye. So the ayes have it. Okay. You all set, Adrian? Okay, who was next? Jay. Jay, you're next, Jay.
Yes, so I didn't attend the policy meeting, so I'm a little rusty on this, but the question was raised, how do people apply in the future? And it seems like on page 1, it specifies that an owner handler who wants to bring a therapy dog to school must submit a written request. So, that, I guess, is the process. And then there's a form attached, which is actually part of the regulation, an extensive application. So I think that's how one applies in the future. My only suggestion would be, since it's within the purview of the administration, is to make it more detailed as to what these insurance requirements are. And so just editing that form. So I think that takes care of that, unless I'm mistaken. As far as the indemnification, I think, we do have an obligation to indemnify our employees. I don't think that, and Dean can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think that means that other insurance can't be in the first position. I think ultimately we do indemnify them, meaning we pay an attorney to defend them in a suit. But if they have an insurance company that's agreed to take the first position, I don't see how that violates our duty to the employee to indemnify them should all of those, primary insurance procedures fail them, that we still would have that responsibility in the end. So Dean might want to.
I think Adrian just wants a written opinion from the attorney to make sure that how much responsibility that the town's going to have if something goes wrong.
A real attorney.
Well, they're saying that they require.
A real attorney, but he can answer the question though. But
Holiday Inn Express.
go ahead. Go ahead, Dean.
I'm sorry, no, I was just going to say I slept at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
So it says at the end
Okay.
it says at the end from the insurer that I contacted today, that when we put the primary non-contributory basis not on the town, and including the waiver, that covers the base where it wouldn't be the town having the liability off on them, because it says in the last line, the above reference provides risk transfer from the town and the board to the owner in the case of a loss. So that means that the insurance company knows that they're the primary, and the waiver means that they can't go back to the town or the board and say, we want, some of the money back. Does that make sense?
Dr. A, and then
Can I ask a follow-up? Can I have a follow-up, Bev?
Yeah, go ahead.
So if Dean could just give an opinion, if we have a duty to indemnify and someone else agrees to go into the first position, does our duty to indemnify mean that we're not allowed to let anybody else offer their protection first, that we can only be solely responsible? Because then why would we have insurance at all? We would just self-insure and,
Yeah.
it all has to do with insurance.
Yeah, this is complicated. This is complicated, and you do need somebody else's opinion on this one. And then not necessarily a lawyer's opinion, but somebody who's familiar with insurance. Because these sorts of little setups happen all the time. Who's willing to pay? Who's where? What do you do with simultaneous coverage and all that jazz? So there's no simple answer to this one.
I just don't see where our danger is when she's got an insurance company that's willing to take the first position, and we're not abdicating our responsibility. I happen to think this is a great program, and I'd hate to see it get caught up in red tape trying to determine whether we have a duty to indemnify that precludes us from accepting anybody else's protection in the first position.
Yeah.
And so what's the danger? What's the danger
So
in allowing that?
Yeah, I'm with you, Jay. I mean, what I mean is that mapping all this out in the event of an incident, the dog bites somebody, right? And then the school gets sued, the handler gets sued, the dog gets sued, you get sued. I know how much you like that. Yeah, mapping all that out, that's a little hairy. But I think you're right. If there's an insurance policy in place, I'd like to think there's coverage, right? Ultimately, it all falls down in a big bowl.
Up to $1 million per incident.
Okay, can I get Dr. A to talk, and then Mike Whitney?
I want to make clear that I do not want to initiate the practice of inviting any entity to weigh in on board policy.
All right, Mike?
Yes, thank you. So I'm going to be voting against this. I raised these concerns, and others had some too, at the last regular meeting. I think there's sufficient time to, ask the unions and get this legal opinion, and that hasn't happened. And that's happened before with different issues where we're prevented. We've asked for information and we didn't get it, and so we're in a situation where we're making decisions, policy in this case, without adequately being informed. I looked it up while I was waiting. The regulation we're talking about is Chapter 170, Section 10 -235. So that's what we're talking about there. And then I really do think we need to ask the union. My concern relate to this policy, and then the specific instance that Officer Chase has a handler, there's a SRO, police officer, and that was part of their duties. In this case, we're adding a duty to that's 1 to 2 hours a day of a therapy dog to an existing position, and as guidance counselors in the middle school, my understanding is, in terms of caseload, it's half of a given grade, whether it's 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, and they follow them through. So the counselor in the other half of the grade, or any other counselor at Groton Middle School, is not going to have this responsibility. So this is not necessarily a board question, but I am wondering, is there a reduced caseload? That's why so I really think it's important, very, very important, that we as a board find out what the union position is. Where so many times, I've been on the board, a year and a half, and already there's so many times where, getting the full stakeholder input, getting the picture ahead of time would help prevent, real problems that flash up time and time again. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Any other discussion? Jen?
So when this came up for first reading, you guys know I voted against this. I don't believe that we should open the door for the district regards to a dog or any other animal, because it's a slippery slope. I think I had mentioned snakes or cats or whatever, and Dean had responded that humans have been cultivating dogs for X amount of millennia. So, but regardless, the way this was presented to the board during the first reading, I felt it was rushed. There was a grant that was pursued when there was no policy even in place. And so now the board is in a position to create a policy to try to support this initiative, whether, we want to or not. It is a good, I don't want you guys to think that I don't like dogs, because I do. I own one myself, but there's a place and time for everything. And if the dog's range of duty is only supposed to be 1 to 2 hours, and then the dog's going to be there for 8 hours. So what happens if something occurs during the non-1 to 2 hours that this dog is not, like, actually the 6 hours that the dog's not working, is in school and something happens? That's another thing that we need to talk about. The way the policy reads is like, if they'll be asking if the dog can sit in a class, and maybe it's just my lack of knowledge, but when has a guidance counselor ever sat in on a class to participate 1 to 2 hours, 45 minutes, however long a class is? So anyway, those are some of the things that we need to think about, right? Opening the door for other animals, the guidance counselor responsibility. This is being rushed, right? In my opinion, it's rushed. And if the dog is only supposed to work 1 to 2 hours a day for 2 days, I don't know, a comment was made, this will increase the reach to other students who may need this. But if your time limit is finite, I don't even understand how it's going to increase. So that's my comment before we close out.
Adrian?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I do support the idea of this policy generally, and Leah, I appreciate everything that you've done. For me, I'm going to abstain because I feel like we just need to fully understand the insurance side of it so that the district doesn't have any liability from a legal or at least insurance professional opinion. And I also agree with Mike's other comment about hearing what the union has to say. So I hope we can talk about this again, but I'll be abstaining tonight.
I'll take my turn. I agree with Adrian and Mike. I do believe in the program, but I will be voting no until I can get an update on the insurance and the union feedback. So it's either a no for me or I'll be abstaining.
Okay, I'm going to try to convince you otherwise, successfully or not.
And then we'll take a vote.
And then we'll take a vote. This is an imperfect document. It could have been, the board could have been informed 6 months earlier than it was, so that we had a chance to ask some of these questions earlier. But that's water over the dam and through the turbines. We can't go backwards on that. Mike once said to me that he knew why I was an extension person, because my focus was on getting a job done, and it was not a theoretical operation as to all the details. Nobody can say that there is zero risk in anything, but I think the amount of risk to the district in terms of what I'm going to suggest in a moment is so minuscule that I think we can thread the needle on this. A, we put in a sunset so that this is not permanent policy. B, we put in another clause, if there's insufficient interest from the rest of you, that says that this is passed with the understanding that the answers to the question on the insurance, the answer to the other questions that Mike asked, must be answered within 30 days. Speak to the thing. We can get the feedback from the union within 30 days. We can hear the insurance within 30 days, because I think I heard Leah say some time ago that if we don't start the semester at the beginning, the grant goes away. So in order to make this happen, I mean, as a former hospital chaplain, I know the impact these animals can have under the correct supervision to make life so much better for some people who are suffering in one way or another. So I'm going to urge you to reconsider and just take a poll, if you would, Bev, before you take the vote, if there is a willingness to put in these other conditions, that the policy sunsets at the end of the year, subject to the future board's decision on whether it was a good policy, that the answers to the question be provided to the board within 30 days, and take the minuscule risk that there is. And if we can't do it, we'll have to end the program at the end of 30 days. And that's the way that the cookie crumbles. Thank you.
Are we gonna move?
Would you take a
Yeah.
poll to see if people would be willing to?
I'm just
Can we
gonna.
move?
Huh?
Are we gonna move it, like the question?
You
Well,
wanna call the question?
Call the question?
I'm going to move what Matt suggested as an amendment to the policy, the sunset provision, and also the contingency that we get information by 30 days.
Can you write that down, because,
Because your hand's tired, I know.
no, and.
You're writing a lot.
And then, can you write that down?
Sure.
It's on the record, but yeah, go ahead.
Can you write it down in writing?
I'm doing it in my head as I do it. I, Dean Antipas,
Oh, my God.
move an amendment that the policy sunset in its totality on June 30th, 26, unless renewed by the board, in whatever form it chooses to renew it.
Sounds good.
And that the questions as to insurance,
That the
Are
enactment.
you writing this down?
Yeah.
Because you need to write it down. Okay? Because the people that are transcribing this, they need it in writing.
yes, of course.
Okay.
So
Or
just-
Joan.
Maybe you can get a report while I write it down.
So, are you going to write it yourself, Matt?
I'm trying.
Okay, I'm going to move forward, because this was supposed to take like 10 minutes, and we've already been on this almost an hour. Mike?
Yeah, sorry. Isn't there a way that, like, it's up for a second reading right now? Haven't we before sent it back to policy or withdrawn it so it can come back for a second reading again? We did it on something else.
The risk, though, is that if I was correct in my understanding of what Leah said, the insurance, the grant goes away if we don't start at the beginning of the year. Was that correct, Leah? Did I misunderstand you?
Yep, so I have a grant through GEF and then also a nonprofit to start for this coming school year and provide data to both GEF and the nonprofit at the end of the school year.
So let me be more specific in the question. If there came back for a second reading in September, would that mean that you would not get any grant funding because you didn't start at the beginning of the year?
Ideally, I would start at the first day of school to get us off on the right foot, but the funding would have to be used this school year.
So if we had to do another policy meeting and come back to the board in September, let's say, then you could get started as soon as that all happened.
I think so.
Leah, this is a good lesson for you. Don't write a grant if it has to do with the board, unless you come before us first and get
So
this
I didn't know I needed a board policy in place. Waterford
If you have
doesn't.
a therapy dog, then that's something that you're going to need approved beforehand. So just for future reference, then we wouldn't be going through all this. All right, Dr. A.
Okay, I wasn't going to speak to this, but I'm going to do it again. I want to make clear again that I'm not opposed to listening to the union's point of view. I'm just opposed to initiating any request from any entity beforehand on board policy. That doesn't mean that I don't want to hear what the union has to say. I want to make that clear.
I do have a motion if you want it. I'm making in your name, Dean?
No, you can do it too. I don't need credit for it.
I move to amend the motion to say that we ask for P6163.33 to be passed for a second reading with the following conditions. A, The policy will automatically sunset on June 30th, 2026, unless renewed by the board. B, that all insurance questions are satisfied by the 30th of September this year, 9/30/25, and potential union concerns are resolved by 9/30/2025, failing which the program would end.
Can I have the
The policy would not go into effect.
The policy would be revoked.
Something like that. The policy, the enactment of the policy is contingent upon
Thank
getting
you
this
very much.
information by September 30th. I know this is awkward, I'm sorry.
I got it down. I'll make it neater for you.
Okay. I need it by the end of the meeting.
Policy.
Okay.
So has that been second?
No, it hasn't been anything.
Could Matthew read that again?
Sure.
Again?
I move that policy, would this be a substitute motion for what I had initially done?
No, what we want to do is we want to amend the motion to add the sunset language and also the contingency language.
I move that we amend the proposed motion for a second reading with a policy sunset date of 6/30/26 unless renewed by the board, and subject to the contingencies that the insurance questions are satisfied by 9/30/25 and potential union concerns are resolved by 9/30/25, or the policy is revoked.
Second.
Second, okay. Motion made by Matthew and seconded by Dean. Okay. Any discussion on the motion? Michael, what do you think of the motion?
It's not the motion, but I'll just say it quickly. I think this has been done for extracurriculars last year, and I don't think any of our board hold-up process should preclude the involvement in extracurriculars like was done last year.
Say that again, Mike?
It is my understanding that last school year that the dog was brought to, forget which team it was, to some practices like after school, and that worked successfully. And what we're talking about here fundamentally is like school day activities, and so it would seem to me that we don't necessarily need a policy for having a therapy dog at an extracurricular activity after school.
Is that part
So
of
that
the motion?
our hold up here and getting this policy, an informed policy, right, wouldn't preclude that the extracurricular part.
Well, that doesn't speak to the amendment.
What did you say, Dean?
Point of order, I don't think that speaks to the amendment.
Yeah, that doesn't speak to the amendment, Mike. Do you have
Yeah, I said it didn't, but I'm just adding that in, okay? As far as the amendment goes, that seems, let's just get the policy right.
All right. Are you happy with the amendment or what?
No.
No, okay. All right. Let's take a vote on the amendment.
Can I?
Go ahead.
So, as far as the insurance goes, and it'd be hard to rewrite what Matthew just wrote, but couldn't we just say that Susan needs legal opinion ensuring that we're insured before a dog enters the school? And then that gets rid of the 30-day thing. And because presumably if the dog was late going to school a couple of days, probably doesn't matter. And Susan could talk to Floyd and we could get an insured opinion. I don't know. Or maybe if Susan could just agree to do that, then that would make me feel comfortable enough.
So you want Susan to make sure she gets a legal opinion before she allows the dog to?
Yeah, I want a
And we
lawyer,
need to see the
an
legal
insurance
opinion.
professional to say that this is okay before the dog goes into the school. So however that happens, if that were going to be a regulation, then that's fine with me. But I just don't want to see.
And we want to see the legal opinion, and we want to see the paperwork too to make sure.
I think we could just put that on Susan then. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know that I would need to see it.
All right.
If we leave it as,
Send it to you, Becky.
if
Okay.
we leave it as Matthew proposed, then yes, we should probably see it in a month anyway.
Right.
But in the meantime, it'd be nice if we could have, if Susan could ensure that there's a legal opinion so that there's no question before the dog enters the school.
I'm surprised you don't want to see the legal opinion.
I do like to verify a lot, but on this, I will.
That's why I was saying that for your benefit. All right. So are we ready to vote on the amendment? And I'm not going to have Matthew read it again because he's rewriting it for me.
Actually, I'm not rewriting it. I'm just writing it neatly. Hopefully you can read my handwriting.
Or hopefully. Not me so much, but Joan and Joyce.
Yeah.
So make sure you write neatly for their benefit.
That may be more than I'm capable of.
You want me to take that for them?
Want to take a look at that? Can you read that, Susan?
Okay.
All right, let's take a vote. All those in favor of the amended motion, I'll just go around and,
The amendment,
the amendment,
not the motion as amended. We're not there yet.
amendment. Okay, all those in favor of the amendment. Matthew, yes.
Dee, yes.
No, abstain. Okay. Matthew, Jen,
No.
Adrian,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Andrea,
No,
no.
no,
Okay. Jay,
Yes, and we're going to miss you, Matthew.
Thank you, Jay.
Mike,
No.
and I'm a no. Okay. So it's 4 yes, 4 no's, and no one abstained.
Oh,
So that motion fails. Okay.
so be it. Go back to the original motion.
All right. So now we're back to the main motion, which is to approve policy P6163.33, therapy dogs, as a second reading.
You know, we're having a catered meal in an hour.
Oh, okay. Don't forget to come up there on September 2nd.
How'd your meeting go?
All right. All those in favor, I'm going to go around. I'm going to start with, hold tight for 1 second. Yes, no, abstain. Okay. Yeah, you're a yes. Matthew? Jen?
No.
Adrian?
Abstain.
Dean?
Yes.
Andrea?
yes,
Jay?
Yes.
Mike?
No.
Beverly? I'm abstaining. Okay. So that motion passes. 4 yeses, 2 noes, and 2 abstentions.
Guys, had your chance.
Okay?
Still a no.
Huh? So the main, this passes.
Okay, this passes, and I will get you the other information, though.
All right. So
I hope so.
Follow up on this. Yeah.
Please, we don't want this to come back to bite us.
No, I'm going to have
We
to.
don't want it. No pun intended. You know?
No.
Because I'm very uncomfortable with this myself, and I'm usually easy peasy, but I'm really not comfortable with this. But it passed, so hopefully it doesn't come back to bite us, and that's that.
Thank you, Leah.
And next time, please,
Julia.
let us know in fair
Thank you.
time, so we don't have to go through this again. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Leah.
Okay.
Okay, next is new business, to approve policy P6131.3273/5 GRO 1.A1, how do you pronounce it, generative artificial intelligence as a first reading. Just want to do this at the same. Go ahead, Matthew.
So I'm going to make a motion for discussion purposes. I move we accept P 6131.3273, also to be 5 GR 01.AI, joint listings for this policy. Not quite sure the numbering of the 5-1, but that's for this to be listed somewhere in students. So we've been working on this for 9 months. Jody is on board. Jody Geiler is on board. Before I start on this, I want to say that this was, a lot of people had their fingers in this. Certainly our policy committee. Bev was at many meetings. Susan was at, I think, every meeting.
Anne-Marie joined
Anne-Marie joined us at some meetings, but she was also helpful in the formulating of the first draft, along with Clint. And we were lucky enough as a committee to have 2 non-committee people, one our IT specialist, Clint Kennedy, and the other to be Jody Goler, who is the policy person at the Connecticut Association of Boards of Education, and is also the chair of the special task force on introducing AI to the state of Connecticut Department of Education. He wrote the initial model policy that we first looked at, I think a month or two short of 2 years now. Have I got that right, Jody?
Yeah, that's correct. Actually, about 2.5 years. 2.5 years
ago. And Jody can express himself. I would like the board members here, if they have questions. Is Clint on board today? No. Okay. So if you have a question on policy process, certainly I'll try, or other members of the committee will try to respond to your questions, but please feel free to ask Jody anything that's on your mind. We are so lucky to have him, and he's invested a lot of time, not only because our committee is all good looking and handsome, but because I think as he said, that what we have on the table could well serve as the template for the renewed model policy for the state. I think we have that quality.
Everybody read the policy, I hope?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's just jump right into questions.
So you want to jump into questions?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I wanted to mention that not every portion there are 4 portions to it. 2 portions were totally consensus, and 2 portions voted 2-1. And so there is a minority opinion on that either if Andrea wants to, or somebody else wants to make the minority point to give you a full ability to make an informed decision on how you vote, that's fine. I'll certainly try to represent what I understood them to say if you ask questions. But why don't we go into questions?
Questions. Jen.
So my question, I know the policy committee is recommending a committee.
Mm-hmm.
What's the benefit of having the committee rather than having the director of IT have it part of his responsibility? If you can share what the
Sure, there's a little history to that. After we looked at other states and other countries' policies to see where that might lead us, Clint suggested that he and Anne-Marie get together and try to come up with a first draft. And so the origin of the advisory committee was written by Anne-Marie and Clint. So that was the origin of that structure.
But wasn't that in a regulation?
No, that was not in the I've never seen any regulations.
Okay.
I've never seen any regulations.
I think Anne-Marie said it was in regulation.
Yeah, it's a regulation.
It's a regulation.
It's
Okay.
regulation.
It may be now, but it came in the first proposal for the policy, which is where we came up with it. The reason for having a separate committee is that if it were assigned to an existing committee, whether it be curriculum or finance or peanuts or hot dogs, whatever committee, that committee already has a primary charge. And all the committees are very, very busy and full of work. So if that happens, I'm picking on curriculum, though, I'm just picking it as an example, not necessarily if that's what Susan wanted to do. Or maybe with Anne Marie, I'm not focusing on, if it went to curriculum or to Anne Marie's committee, they have so much to do that what is, in my opinion, likely to happen is either they won't have enough time for AI, or they won't have enough time for their primary charge. Whereas if we have a separate advisory committee, that my personal belief, and it's certainly, if we have a committee, it's certainly Susan's choice as to who she appoints as chair. My hope is she would appoint Clint to be chair, but that's not my role. Let me go on, if you please. I'm having a hard time keeping my train of thought.
Can I jump in for a second then? I'm going to say right now, under Roman numeral 2, collaborative approach, the first sentence, the superintendent shall establish or designate a committee to serve in an advisory capacity in relation to matters pertaining to GAI. That is a regulation. That should not be in policy. That's up to the superintendent to do. We should not have that in policy. It's a regulation. And we talked about that in policy. It was... I think Dr. A and I agree that it doesn't belong in policy, it belongs in regulation. Anne Marie said the same thing. It belonged in regulation. Clint said the same thing.
Not Clint.
Yes, he did. He said it's up to the superintendent. He did say
said
that.
It's up to the superintendent.
Okay.
He didn't endorse it.
And then Jody actually said almost the same thing.
Well,
So I'd like to strike that sentence out because I think it belongs in regulation and not in policy.
But we could put it in regulation.
Well, I would, if, may I?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So you asked a very good question. It says shall establish or designate. There were initially two versions, and I'm sorry I couldn't get you the two-page thing earlier. There were originally two versions because we didn't have an agreement. The challenge on this was the disagreement. It was a disagreement. It was not a conflict. It was just a difference of opinion. The difference of opinion was, as Bev has stated.
Because right here in elements for administration, it says the superintendent will develop a process to access and leverage GAI use across the district. So that's up to her. And then on this page, you're telling her what she should do. So I really think that sentence needs to be struck out.
In my perspective, which you needn't accept, is that any policy, with the exception of state or federal mandates, that's a different category, but any policy that's not a state or federal mandate is telling the administration what it is there to administer. In other words, the policy sets the what?
No, the policy sets the why.
Please let me finish, please. The policy sets the what. The regulations set the how. We suggest what it is the board wants to have happen, and the administration decides the means by which it is going to accomplish the board's goals. This is a what. And if you have some questions about the differentiation between what and how, and you want somebody with more policy experience, please invite, or if you'll allow me, I'll invite Jody. And if I'm mistaken, I'll back off graciously.
Dr. A, and then Dean.
I'm adamantly opposed to having this in policy. It belongs in regulations. If it's in policy, I will vote no.
Dean.
All right, so the first question is, should the board or should the board not have a policy regarding the use of AI? It would seem that the natural answer to that would be yes. That as a matter of policy, we should have a policy regarding the use of AI. From there, we get to the next question, which is, how is this going to be managed, if you will? Should we form a board committee? Apparently not. So the policy committee is suggesting that we adopt a policy telling administration that it should form some sort of a committee, which I think is a better idea, because instead of having three boobs from the board, be the AI committee, we can have an administration form a more competent committee that includes Clint and anybody else that they need information from. That's how I'm understanding this. That is our policy that the superintendent have an AI committee.
That is my understanding
Okay.
as well.
Because otherwise our policy is to have the superintendent do something with AI. That's our policy.
And
It just doesn't seems too fuzzy.
it doesn't have any deliverables attached to it. If we were not directive. So yes, Bev, it is directing the superintendent to either form a committee, and she would name the people on the committee. Ideally, it would be somebody from each of the other committees in the buildings, the teachers. You pick people so they're representative, and they can bring back the opinions of their committees that they work on. But I think it would be more functionally effective if it was a standalone committee chaired by the person who knows more than anybody else in this district about AI.
I'm not against the committee. I think the superintendent should do a committee and should be in her regulations. But I'm saying it shouldn't be in policy that we're telling her what to do. This is the policy, and then how she goes about administering the policy, that's up to the superintendent. So I would hope she would do that in her regulations, and we can ask her to write it in regulations, but I'm just saying it shouldn't be in the policy itself. I'm not against the committee. I want that to be known. I'm just against that being in regulation, because right here it says the superintendent would develop a process to access and leverage the GAI used across the district. It says right under elements for administrative operational productivity and functionality. So
I would be willing to accept that with the assurance from the superintendent if she chooses
I
to.
just said I would be happy to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Adrian?
Yeah. That's how we do most things.
I don't agree that it has to be in regulation, because by saying it's in regulation, that means that it could just not be anywhere. So we're stating that as part of this policy, we want it. I mean, we can think 10 years down the line, if the superintendent just chose to take it out of regulation, a different superintendent had a different feeling on things, something like that, and just chose to take it out of regulation, but the board really wanted it, and then we'd have to relook at the policy. And I personally think that AI is significant enough. That, in my opinion, it's very significant, and it's widely used throughout the school already. So we're behind the eight ball on it anyway. But I think that this is something that the board can expect, so we don't have a vague policy that just says we want to regulate AI somehow.
They said with the therapy door. Okay.
10 years from now, Grok is going to be the superintendent. Grok or ChatGPT.
Well, that's Jen and then Jay.
So that sentence, Beverly, that you and Dr. Ackerman want to remove, the superintendent shall establish or designate a committee. Maybe we just take that sentence and put it under the elements for administration and call it a day, and then delete everything else underneath that, telling her, hey, these are the people that you should do, this is what you need to look for. Like, basically take the first sentence, put it under elements, and then that whole section 2 goes away. That's what I would, because it's just saying superintendent establish a committee.
So so are you suggesting that,
Over here.
I know are you suggesting that under 3, elements of operational concern, that before you list students, staff, and administration operational productivity, that you put this sentence as a first guiding sentence?
Well, you could do it that way. I was thinking it would just be part of this administrative operating productivity, like here. But you could have it there. It's just sort of like, superintendent, you need to have a committee.
It's an interesting idea.
And And then this way, you're not telling the superintendent that you'll seek guidance. Obviously, they know that, looking for opportunities and challenges. You would figure they would do that anyway. So everything else is sort of assumed.
So is this what you want?
No, just the first sentence. We're not suggesting how she does it. So where it says Board of Education suggests that the committee be comprised of X, Y, and Z.
The first draft that Anne Marie gave, which when she suggested an advisory committee, named administrators, teaching staff, and parents. There were no board members in the first list. And I said that just made no sense whatsoever for us to have a policy and then exclude the board from participating in the process. And that's where the board came. But the whole idea of this committee came from that first meeting of Clint and Anne Marie, and then we met together.
All right, Jay?
Yeah, I'm confused. I mean, I thought the role of the board was to direct the superintendent on broad matters of policy, and so therefore this document initiates our foray into this area, and I'd be confused why we would just say, okay, we're going to have a policy, but you just figure it out. I mean, I think we need a framework to say, I agree with Adrian and with Matthew that we need to have this framework. Otherwise, once Susan's gone, if there's no guidelines, any future superintendent could just put it up on a shelf, like so many other things that have happened over the years. If there's no requirement to create a committee and suggest who's on it and set up a schedule for reporting, if that isn't the board's prerogative, I don't know what is.
Okay, Mike?
Yes, thank you. I agree with what Jay was saying, but also in this particular instance, everything's so novel that I think there's not really standard practices yet, and so spelling it out in the policy really helps. And I think we all acknowledge that this is a policy that probably will come up for review in the next year and a half or 2 years or so because things are changing so swiftly. But it is important that we have like a direction now and help lead the state in this, which is what we'd be doing. So I think it's a very positive development. Thank you for the policy committee and Matthew for shepherding this through.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Andrea?
I want to hear what Jody has to say.
Well, first of all, this is a great discussion, and this is a discussion that's happening in many districts. When I first developed this model policy 2.5 years ago, it was really the first thing that I did coming out of the superintendency and working with CABE. What we were seeing is ChatGPT was brand new. We were starting to hear reports about it, and I was starting to read articles about our largest school districts in the country deciding that rather than deal with it, we're going to just simply restrict it. And I just didn't see restricting technology, especially a technology as consequential as AI at this point. I didn't see it as restrictable, and I didn't see it in the students' best interest that we were going to just simply close our eyes to it and then have them go home and figure it out. So the policy that I drafted 2.5 years ago was an attempt to create an opening salvo around policy for the state of Connecticut, for districts to look at a model policy that, while embracing AI, set up some guidance. And again, I agree with the way Matthew contextualized policy generally is the board determines the what and the regulations determine the how. There are some boards that like their policies to be quite robust with fewer regulations. The boards like to take more control and be more directive of the administration. Other boards tend to look at policy more broadly and give the superintendent a wider range of responsibilities to create the regulations with his or her administration. What I see with what really interests me about this work and working with the board and working with the policy committee and your district leadership is it's time for me to go back into the CABE model policy and rework it, revise it. It's at 2.5 years. And hearing the conversations around looking at the elements, looking at where regulations come in, where policy is providing an appropriate level of direction, integrating collaboration, which I think is key in this policy. You have all kinds of people who have all kinds of interests with AI. No longer looking at just one IT director with all the fountain of knowledge, disseminating it to the district. You have young teachers. You have teachers who are really deeply engaged in technology, who have a lot to offer. You want to embrace them. You want to bring them in. You want them to empower them to bring new ideas to this world and use their expertise to provide professional development and training and other avenues to support growth with this policy. So collaboration to me is a key component. The elements you've created, I think, are a great way for the board to develop the what and give the superintendent a pathway for developing and guiding her in developing regulations. So I think you're just about there with this. There are always going to be tripwires. There are going to be things that people are particularly sensitive to. This sounds more like a regulation. This sounds less like a regulation. I think you're just about there, and you're developing, I think, in my view, a middle path that will help me in developing a model policy, a revised model policy that CABE could use, that would use a lot of the conversations that this board has had and this policy committee has had. So in terms of guidance, I think my guidance would be you're just about there. It sounds like, it's not going to be a perfect policy, but I think rather than suggesting or directing the superintendent to have a committee to do this work and include these people, the board can certainly say that we expect the superintendent to develop guidelines and regulations that will ensure collaboration, will embrace collaboration, will continue to update the board as to the progress of the work going on in the district, and look for those kinds of ways to keep the board engaged and updated on the superintendent's work. Because ultimately you want to hold her accountable to ensure that this policy is being implemented to your level of expectations.
Thank you, Jody. Dean?
So I could have saved everybody the trouble because I just had ChatGPT generate a GAI policy for public schools. All we have to do is insert the name of the school and the name of the superintendent, and we're all set. I am not joking. I just have it on my phone. It reads pretty well, too. I mean, it's in English. It looks competent. So that's a humorous intro to AI is all the buzz. I personally have been fooling around with this at a really, really primitive level since the 1980s. And if you're into computer programming like I was, this is like, well, we finally arrived, right? We finally got what we wanted. But even then, people were talking about the possibility of creating a Frankenstein. Thoughts are all over the place. There's no way to say no. It's being used. Adrian's correct. There's no way to say no. But understand, and I think we probably do, but I'll mention it, take the opportunity to mention it, what it is that we are embracing. I read an article this morning written by a woman who was originally hailed from Kharkov, what was known as Kharkov in Russian. There's another pronunciation in Ukrainian. That's where she's from. And Grok, which is like ChatGPT, it's an LLM. Grok was insisting that there was that what actually had been a Russian strike on a food aid truck was actually an IDF strike in the summer of 2024 in Gaza. And there were people that piled on to correct it, to say, no, you're wrong. The landscape is eastern Ukraine, not Gaza. Grok insisted it was Gaza. Glock insisted that the language being spoken in the background was Arabic when the woman said, I know that's not Arabic. I understood every word that people were saying. It is not Arabic. It's a Ukrainian, Russo-Ukrainian dialect. She said it was like pulling teeth. Glock finally, after great effort, acknowledged that it was wrong. It was not an IDF strike. In fact, it was actually Russia striking something just like...
Can I pull you back?
No. The reason why I'm mentioning this is because we have to understand what this creature or these creatures really are. And though we're all very giddy about the possibilities, and we think about, we may be thinking about this in terms of, well, like the same way we control electronic device use, cell phone use. Is this like word processing? Isn't it amazing? This is basically the cultural equivalent of discovering nuclear fission. We can use it positively or it could kill us all. And I'm not saying that with a lot of exaggeration. The Grok example that I gave was a very clear example of there was a lot of garbage clearly that was put in, or if not garbage, a lot of information that was put in because these things learn or pick up or what have you, however you want to phrase it. It clearly was very biased. It kept returning to IDF strike in Gaza last year when people tried to correct it. Why? Because it had a big bias. That's one example of the problem of these things. In a small way, it's when we say kiddingly, don't trust Wikipedia, but people do. Okay? And I'm just afraid that we have to be extremely careful. I cannot emphasize how careful going down this road. But again, I acknowledge we can't just say no and turn a blind eye to it. I'm just crossing my fingers if that's worth anything and hoping we can actually, grab a hold of this thing and never let it go. Because it's amazing and extremely dangerous at the same time. So let's not kid ourselves about what we're playing around with here.
Thank you. Clint and I have had long conversations, not about the policy, but about dealing specifically with what goes into the helping our kids distinguish false information, having our kids be able to listen to knowledge and value claims, and having the acuity to go to multiple sources. We've been talking about training exercises for our kids, and that comes when we say age appropriate and developmental appropriate. Those are correct words, but that embraces so many things about the different ways you're going to teach different age levels to make it a tool for good, make it a tool for learning and expanding on our horizons. The pitfalls, the dangers are real, and that's why we need an advisory committee that can look at, or however it's formulated, Susan, an existing committee or a separate committee, however you do it, that we look at this regularly and report back to the board. It's in here that there'd be a report back from this committee or whatever it is on a monthly basis, even if they say we have nothing to report, so that it is so quick. We need to be nimble. I hope that addressed some of your concerns.
Okay, let's move on and vote on this policy. So we had a motion.
Beverly, can I say one thing, and that is that I'm not concerned about the policy. I'm concerned about our taking over the superintendent's authority. That's it.
All right. Who made the motion for the policy?
I did.
Matt. Who seconded it?
I don't know, put me down for it.
Dean. Okay. So let's take a vote. All those in favor of approving policy P6131.32, 73/5 GRO01.AI, GAI as a first reading. Matthew, what do you say?
Aye.
Hold on. Yes. No. Okay, Matthew's a yes. Jen? I'll come back. You can think about it. Adrian?
No, it's a no.
No. Jen? Adrian?
Yes.
Dean?
Yes.
Andrea?
No.
Jay,
Aye.
Mike,
Yes.
and I'm a no. Okay, passes as the first reading. All right.
May I?
Goes back to policy committee for second reading, and hopefully, maybe with Jody. Jody, your suggestions, can you send it to Susan by email?
I would be happy to.
Okay, thank you.
Since I won't be available, or I won't be in my current role when it goes, could I suggest that if board members have any particular thoughts or particular language, that they send it to whoever you designate as chair at their earliest convenience so that it can be considered fully before the meeting happens?
Okay. Okay, next item under new business is discussion and possible action regarding recognition of National IT Professionals Day. Can I have, Adrian, can you read that motion, please?
I'd like to make a motion to recognize September 16th, 2025 as National IT Professionals Day and to direct the superintendent of schools to send a letter of appreciation to the IT staff.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Andrea?
Second.
Thank you, Andrea. Okay, any discussion? All right, all those in favor of the motion as read by Mr. Johnson, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Andrea,
Aye.
how do you
Aye.
vote? Are you a yes, Andrea? No?
Aye.
Aye. Mike?
Aye.
Jay?
Aye.
Okay, so pass unanimously. Okay, thank you, guys. Next on the agenda is new business again, discussion and possible action regarding approval of out-of-district tuition rates for the 2025-2026 school year. Jen, can you read the motion?
To approve the out-of-district, I make the motion to approve the out-of-district tuition rates for the 2025-2026 school year.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Second, Matthew. Okay, that's attachment number 10. We talked about it at the COW meeting. Let me find my attachment.
And board, and the finance committee.
And the finance committee meeting. So, any questions about this? We talked about this at the COW on August 18th. The rates come from Learn. This is what Learn charges us, so this is what we charge other people. And parents, because Adrian brought this up, parents can contact outside people their own, like if they want an OT, if they want a audio testing, they can contract with somebody else, as long as it is agreeable with the school district, I guess, and if they could pay a lesser fee than what we're charging.
Yeah, I guess I would just
Go ahead.
recommend or request that the district tell parents about that, because I think a lot of times parents don't know their options. They're just given options, or they're given something from the school, but they don't necessarily know that they have the right to get outside testing.
Okay.
So I would like to request that that become a standard maybe in the regulation.
Well, this is no regulation.
I know.
Okay. So we just have to ask Susan to ask people to do that. Okay? Mike?
I just want to say that right after this one, I have to leave the meeting, but I'll stay for this vote.
Okay. All right. All those in favor to approve the out-of-district tuition rates for the 2025-2026 year, say aye.
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 Andrea? Mike?
Aye.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's do this. Let me call you guys online, because I think that's how you're officially supposed to do it. So, Andrea, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jay?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Okay, so passes unanimously. All right. Are you leaving now, Mike?
Yes. Sorry about that. I've got a commitment.
Okay, no problem.
Thanks.
So Mike left about 8:32. Okay, next item, discussion and possible action regarding approval of the preferred maximum class size guidelines. That's attachment number 11. Again, we talked about this at the COW meeting. And even though some board members would like the class sizes to be lower, the superintendent tells us that's nice, but we do not have the space in our schools to for any smaller classes. We don't have the room to make classes smaller.
But this doesn't mean that these are going to be the class sizes. This just means this is the maximum class size.
Preferred.
Right, yeah.
So,
And we do have teacher contracts that tell us, what needs to happen if these numbers go up by 4 or 5 from what you have preferred, and that is usually extra support in the classroom.
and these numbers could be lower. Like Dean said, it's just preferred maximum class size. And we talked about it at the COW on August 18th. So any discussion?
Yeah, at that meeting, I had requested some staff input. Do we have any staff input on these class sizes?
Well, these have been what we've had in the past, and I've never heard complaints about it. I mean, this is typically what we see, or fewer. And, I don't see that the staff has outwardly complained or the union hasn't complained. They know what's in their contract, too.
Yeah, well, the union contract is different. I would like staff input because, as I said in that other meeting, these are preferred maximum classroom sizes. And the contracts say, I think, 23 or 25 students per classroom. So why shouldn't we just change these all to 23 and 25? Are these numbers better?
Yeah, I think these are better numbers than the contract, for sure. They're less than what the contract.
Well, they're less than the contract, but is it actually giving the taxpayer, how do we know that 20 is the number for a kindergarten to 1 class, and that it's not 18 or 22?
Well, it typically can be somewhere in that range. You will see, and as the ebbs and flows, I've explained this over and over again, that through the school year, you might see 17, 18, 20, 21, back to 16. So it varies because you got kids coming in and out throughout the school year.
Yeah, but I want to go back to that. These are preferred maximum classroom sizes.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously you can, if we have low enrollment and we have a kindergarten class with 14 in it, then that's fine. That's just the way it's going to be that year. But these are preferred maximum classroom sizes. We last looked at this 2 years ago. I feel like rather than just handing us what a board 2 years ago approved, we should be handed this and had some information to be able to reevaluate why. Not just, this is the way we've been doing it, why would we do it any differently? So I would personally like to know, in these grades, what are the most successful, how did we get to the preferred number? And when was the last time it was looked at? I mean, last meeting you said that it had been this way since you had been with the district. When was the last time anyone actually evaluated it? And I would personally like to take this opportunity to evaluate it, to have some real data from interested parties, specifically the teachers. Maybe they have data that shows that, some classes it makes a big difference to have smaller class sizes, but some class it really doesn't. Some classes you can have 25 kids. So I guess I would just like some data to back up that these should be our preferred.
Why don't you make that a referral and send it to me, and I'll put it on.
I would say that I've been in 4 very different districts.
I know, but
and these
we're not
are
going to get that
typical
tonight.
of what you see.
All right. So what I would like to do is make a motion to postpone this. I mean, it's not a rush that it has to get done right now. I'd like to make a motion that we postpone it until the October regular meeting and give the superintendent time to get some feedback and some data on it. So is there a second on that motion?
For discussion purposes, sure.
Discussion. He already discussed it.
Yeah.
Okay, so all those in favor?
I know we declare that we're data-driven, and that being data-driven gives us good results. I know we're all concerned about academic outcomes. If it really hasn't been reviewed in 11 years, 10 years, whatever, perhaps it's time to do it. Again,
I
you
don't
can.
know where you're going to, if you, let's say you do a maximum class size of, for kindergarten, 15. You know, where are you going to get all those classrooms to put the kids in? When I've already got full classrooms right now of 2021, and, you know, and it is something that, you know, in kindergarten, we do have an aide all day long, in the morning and the afternoon, already there in place, which really does help the classroom teacher. And if they need a paraeducator in addition to that, because of students' need, like you said, different students need different things, then we make sure that that paraeducator is in the child's IEP. So we do have those extra support systems in place already.
Let me go with Jay.
May I respond? I do hear you. I'm looking at it with a slightly different time horizon. We're going to be talking about renovations at Mary Morrison, maybe for the sub-kids, maybe for the early childhood. We're going to talking about the possibility of replacing a school. And I think this kind of data, even if the reality forces what you say, having this kind of research and data is going to inform the decisions that we make and inform the arguments that we make with the public that's going to vote on the referendum. I think it's a very good outcome, even if it doesn't change anything on the ground this year.
Jay?
It is odd that every year we take this vote when it's actually driven by the union contract. And that's where we get the feedback from the teachers, is through negotiation and their contract. So I don't know why we go through this every year and just sort of rubber stamp it without any further investigation. I'd be perfectly fine with not voting on it. If we can find some sort of data to support something different. But I've often wondered, why do we have two sets of numbers to begin with? It's very confusing. How do you explain that to the parent? Well, we have the teacher's contract, and then we have our wish list. This is what we'd like to have. You know, under what circumstances would your like to have actually come into play? So I'm fine with just not even voting on it tonight.
Anyone else?
I'm not in a rush either.
Okay. Anyone else? So what's the motion?
So I'd like to make a motion to postpone this motion, the vote on this motion, until the regular meeting in October. And the reasons would be to give the information time to collect staff input.
Can I have that when you finish it?
Yeah.
Give it to me.
And to give the administration time to gather scientific data to justify class, well, I'm going to say individual class sizes. I wrote class sizes in general. But that would be the...
So I have a CAPS UConn partnership, so I can request that we have them do research on this.
Yeah. You know, again, I've done a bunch of research, and there's actually not a ton of strong data that says low class sizes are better. But we're talking about individual class sizes, like kindergarten 1, 3, 5. So in general, it's pretty gray area when you look at the research. But I'm just wondering if there's better research besides just, you know, on average, a kid that went to a school that had class sizes of 25 didn't really do much worse than a kid that had a school that had class sizes of 21 or something like that.
Probably differs more the teacher in that classroom.
It probably differs greatly by the district, but the whole reason is so that we can say, all right, well, technology education the teacher says that they only have enough space for 18 in that
Some of
classroom.
this
So
is
maybe with-
related to space, like culinary
No,
arts.
I know, but
Yeah.
I'm just giving for instances. So maybe the tech ed teachers say that we really only have space for 18. We can't take more than 18. And then that is data for us to make a decision on individual lines and not just rubber stamping the, whatever this is, 15 or 18, different classes.
Okay. You made the motion, the amended motion.
Well, I think I just read the same thing. I just added individual class sizes.
And so that's amended because you made the main motion, right, to approve?
No, well, Matt, wait a minute.
You
No,
made
Matt
the
didn't.
motion, I seconded it.
Yeah, you second it.
I'll
Okay.
accept the addition.
You made, you did the main motion
No, I didn't.
to approve the preferred maximum class sizes?
No, who did that?
It wasn't me.
Did we even do that part?
No, we didn't then. I thought you did. I
think
thought I
you
asked
read
you
it.
to.
All right, so let's go back.
Yeah.
The main motion. I'll make the main motion.
All right, to approve the preferred maximum class size
Well, you didn't have to do that.
guidelines.
Well, I mean, we could just, couldn't we vote on it as how to handle an agenda item?
Let's just,
Okay.
and then make an amendment.
All
Let's
right.
just clean it that way.
All right, so who wants to
Right.
second it? Main motion.
I'm not touching it, no.
Who wants to second the main motion? Matt? Sure. Okay. And then Adrian, now you're making an amendment motion.
Yeah, so I would like to make that
Okay.
amended motion to postpone until the regular meeting in October.
All right, who wants to second that?
Second.
Second, Jay. Okay. All right, so let me have your motion so you can, is it legible for Susan?
I'm going to take a picture of it, and then if it's not, I can rewrite it. But yes, I will give the motion to.
See? So you know what to do.
If you can't read it, I'll just type it out.
Now, I'm just gonna put C, new business, so they know what it is.
So Dean, when you only have 7 members, do you need 4? Is 4 is a majority of 7?
New business
I
number.
don't know what our rules say, to be honest.
Okay, all those in favor of the amended motion?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Adrian, aye. Dr. A?
No,
No?
no.
Okay. That makes Samantha, Dean, and Adrian,
Jay's still
Jan. Jay?
Aye.
Aye. And I'm an aye. It doesn't hurt. Okay, so that passes. Okay, next item is discussion and possible action regarding the adoption of the Board of Education goals for 2025-2026. Dean, you want to read that for me?
Yes.
Thank you.
I move we adopt the following goals of the Board of Education for 2025-2026. 1, focus on improving student learning outcomes. Subsection, create a dashboard to review live data. 2, continue to align our expenditures with district priorities. 3, review building capacity based on expected demographic trends. 4, improve the flow of the board's business. 5, community engagement. Subpart to that, board members attending events and being more visible in the community.
Have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All right, all those in favor of adopting the board's goals for 2025-2026 school year? Matthew, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay. Jen?
Aye.
Dean?
Aye.
Adrian?
Aye.
Andrea?
Aye.
Jay?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay, so that passes unanimously. Okay, next, Sam. Oh,
Yeah, we're going to see him out of here.
Want to do the ratification?
You want to do the ratification before you do your finance report, your facility report? Okay, ratification. Next item is number 6, discussion and possible action regarding the ratification of the Groton Schools Custodian, Maintenance, and Secretaries Association contract for the period of July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2029. Oh, it is anticipated that we will hold this in executive session. Not unless we want to vote, and then we don't have to hold it in executive session. We get to just vote in open session. So, are we ready to vote on it?
The vote has to be held in open session.
Right. So, but if we're ready to vote, Jay?
Yeah, I just want to mention to those who will be watching or are watching live at home that this was discussed extensively by the board in a meeting which is under the law of the state of Connecticut is considered a non-meeting. And so board members did discuss this thoroughly. Other members may have come up with something in between which would require us to go into executive session, but I'm perfectly fine taking the vote in an open session. I don't have any further questions than those we already discussed.
And I can give a brief update, and Susan probably could fill in. The board negotiation team met with the union, and we met 4 times. It was very cordial, and we got right down to business. So like I said, it's a 4-year contract. The wage increases are as of July 1st, 2025, it's 2.5 general wage increase. July 1st of 2026, it's 2.75% general wage increase. July 1st, 2027, it's 2.75% general wage increase. And July 1st, 2028, it's 3.25% general wage increase. For insurance change, they need prior authorization for specialty drugs. For cost share contribution, this is with the insurance. It only went up 5% a year. So starting July 1st, 2025, it's 19.5% that the union members will have to contribute. July 1st, 2026, it's 20%. July 1st, 2027, it's 20.5%. July 1st, 2028, it's 21%. And we increased the life insurance from $50,000 to $60,000. We gave them Juneteenth as a holiday, provided school is in session. If you have 20 or more years of service, you're going to get 25 vacation days. That's added to their contract. And vacation request has to be, if it's not granted within 10, or not denied within 10 days, it's granted. And also sick leave is in 1-hour increments. And when it's inclement weather, the custodians work in groups of 2, at least 2 people are working. If they're outside shoveling or, doing anything that is a safety issue, they work in groups of 2. So that's the highlights of their new contract. So if there's no discussion, I'll take a vote. And now, is that good? Okay. Matthew.
Aye.
Jen.
Aye.
Dean.
Aye.
Adrian.
Abstain.
Andrea.
Aye.
Jay.
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so that passes. Thank you, everyone. Okay. Sam, do you want to give us a facility update?
If I may, yeah. Sorry to be late, but some of our fire marshals are actually part-time fire marshals. They actually have daytime jobs. So in this particular instance, that was the case. So I did meet with the fire marshal at Charles Barnum, along with his new replacement, and went through the building in what I thought was a timely fashion, but was late to this meeting, as you can attest to. The first item that I'd like to report on is the HVAC portion of my report. And you may recall that we did the state-mandated testing of our HVAC systems at both Northeast Academy and Catherine Kolmaski. And so while those were done, our technicians in district are working still to make some adjustments on the items that we can take care of within the district, and we'll be working with the testing firm to complete those items that we are not able to do as our technicians as we're moving forward with that. In the meantime, we are preparing a bid package for the testing of the next 2 schools that we have on the list, with expectation that we'll have that bid package out sometime this fall. And the next 2 schools that we will be testing will be Charles Barnum and Mary Morrison. Mary Morrison, we still have kids in the building. We have staff working in the building, so we will do that building and we will also be adding the central office. So those 3 buildings will be done again during winter break is our plan. A couple of the things that have taken place over the last few days, you may have heard that we had a power outage at Fitch High School. There was a 480-volt, 2,000-amp circuit breaker that spent its last days with us. And so at about 120 pounds, they removed that this morning when the new one came in. It's been installed, and everything is up and running. All systems are running as of this morning. We were on generator power there at the high school for that period of time to keep lights on, and we had to make some other adjustments and run some temporary extensions to get our DDC, our computer system, up so that we could run the AC in those spaces that were down with power. In addition to that, this morning at Groton Middle School, you may have heard that the Groton Middle School generator was disabled. A new circuit board was installed this morning by Cummings, which is the manufacturer of the generator. Fire marshal was concerned. We were going to we had all plans to rent a generator. But fortunately, Cummings came through with that in a timely fashion after my secretary explained to them that they would have to pay for the generator if they didn't get out here with that part quickly. So both of these projects were completed in a timely fashion, due mostly to the efforts of Lauren Lyon, who was my secretary, who monitored and communicated both with the outside contractors involved and the supervisors, including myself, throughout the weekend on her own time. So she did that to assure that this came to a positive outcome today, and we appreciate that. Lastly, no, it's not lastly, because I have one more item after this. Our maintenance custodial staff been working diligently all summer long, getting the buildings ready, and if you've been to any of them yet, you'll see that Tom Bingham and Charles Varner, who are the supervisors, have led the groups to bring the buildings into what I would consider tip-top shape. And all this was done while the buildings were being used by summer school, Parks and Rec, Treehouse, and all those other programs that we have all summer long. So the last few years have been challenging, but when I've had some complaints by staff members about why are we letting all these people in our buildings when we should be cleaning them thoroughly, I said, hospitals are run 24/7, and those seem to be pretty clean, so we don't really have any excuses. So I appreciate the fact that they worked around those, and those programs were very cooperative too. What we do is move them from one section of the building to another as we go through those sections and clean them thoroughly. So that is also completed. And then the last item that I'll report on in the 5 minutes that I was allotted tonight by the chairperson is the Charles Brown and Roof project. I was able to get the minutes to from the town council meeting and the RTM meetings in which they approved the projects. And so I had them certified today by the town manager. I gave them to Rita, our new business manager, this morning. And so they now are part of the grant application as we submit that to the state. And hopefully we'll get to the state here before the new year to work out the details and get permission to go out to bid on the roof project for next summer.
That was no easy task. There are new people, I understand, at the State Department in that office who had different ideas, so that we had to go back and have the revote the way that they specified now. So that was a little concerning.
Yeah, well, I've been doing this for about 20 years now, and it seems that, in this particular instance, there are new people, and they did change drastically what we normally would do, and they've asked for different things that we've never had to provide previously. But I know in the 20 years, all those projects, it seemed like every time we went to the state, they did change the rules a bit. So usually there were minor changes, and it was easy to handle. This one was a little more difficult. We had to get a lot more people on board to fill these voids that we had in the application process. But that's where we stand. I'd be happy to answer any questions if I have any time allotted.
You saw
These are just guidelines, but I mean, we didn't do good on these time allotments tonight. Hopefully.
Considering the extra steps that the employee took to make this happen, you think penning her a personal note might be good for our client?
Oh, I will go down and personally thank her. Yeah, yeah. She's terrific. I've been thanking her because I know she's been monitoring it. And when I said, we have kids coming in these schools, we need these ready, she took that serious. So did Sam.
All the while ramrodding the transportation department, too, to get the kids on buses, et cetera. So, and talking with secretaries about getting R6s in, et cetera. So.
I know we've been moving a lot of stuff into storage. How's that coming along? Like the cleanup at
We've been moving it in. How we doing moving it out?
Yeah, like the wood shop. And then I know you had mentioned that, like in Mary Morrison, like the fire marshal said that it was sort of looked like storage, so your team was going to parcel that out.
We're gonna, that we haven't taken that stuff out of Mary Morrison yet, but that's going to be one of our next projects that we'll be doing over the course of some months here. So.
And then the wood shop, that's at Fitch, where you're cleaning stuff?
We're actually, what was the original wood shop, which is the auto shop.
The auto shop.
Is the garage that we've been cleaning out. But when we take you through that tour, you see that it isn't completely cleaned out, but there's still a couple of functions that take place in there. Mm-hmm. And I think as long as we can, we're going to keep them working there because we have to find another space for them to work out of, cleaning equipment, et cetera. So paint machine, mixing paint, and so that hasn't completed, but we've made a pretty good dent in it, and I think you'll see that. I think we're going on a tour next week sometime.
Yeah. Tuesday.
The second,
The 2nd of September.
Next Tuesday? It's September already?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Second.
What about the stuff in the frame building at Pleasant Valley? Can you just throw that away?
I would there isn't much left there. That is it. There are a few items there that we will pull out of there, and then I think the rest can be deemed excess materials. And if it's worthy of it, we will send that list on to the purchasing agent for the town. He can put it on the auction block. If not, Susan can deem it obsolete, and it can be tossed. So most of it is obsolete and can be tossed, but if there's anything of any great value, we'll certainly let the town know about that.
I don't know if this is for you, Susan, or for Sam. It has to do with, it's probably more for you, Susan, with the vaping at the high school. That is...
It goes to me because the vaping at the high school is outrageous.
I hear that.
My plumber and a couple other guys have to go with him on a routine basis to the high school to pull toilets and urinals off the wall where they're throwing these vape items. I don't know what you call them. I don't know how they're going down a urinal, let alone getting into the trap of the toilets. But I have some photos of that stuff, but it's on a routine basis, they have to go up there and pull this stuff off. So we are actually paying for this monitoring system, and they're not using it at the high school because it was going off too much.
And I hear the kids know how to bypass that.
I'm sure they've.
And that's really a problem at the high school, because when I'm hearing the kids don't even want to go to some of the bathrooms. Some of the bathrooms are closed or whatever. We really got to get a handle on that. And
so the kids have been expelled for vaping marijuana, and they've been up here. And they've also had out-of-school suspensions, so the things that they've done have not really helped. So
we
we'll
got to
have
think
to
of
look
something
at that.
Yeah.
I don't know of any
referral to look at vaping at the high school. I'll say
It's
that.
both at the middle school and the high school. Not so much at the middle school, but
I'm
sometimes.
just saying from high school kids that it's absolutely terrible. They can't even go to the bathrooms because of the vaping.
I'm sure there's a way that they can cover that sensor anyways. But
so I don't know. Maybe you can get Matt Brown to come in and talk to us at a COW meeting about what are the problems he's seeing up at the high school.
I don't know of any laboratories that are closed down right now, though. I don't know of any lavatories at the high school that are closed down presently.
Well, I hope not. This was last year, the kid.
Yeah, well, it may happen throughout the year, depending on how much destruction happens, but right now everything is open and operating.
So does security actually go into the bathroom and check?
Yeah. And the assistant principals, when those things were going off, and they had them going off, they were going down there and finding kids.
I walked into the lavatory on Main Street, right across from the cafeteria, into the boys' room.
That's the one Jen and I.
And unfortunately, the lookout didn't recognize that I was somebody who was going to walk into that lavatory. Like he knows. He knew all of the assistant principals and teachers, but he didn't know me. And as soon as I walked in, somebody screamed, and they all scooted. So they have lookouts. I'm sure they probably put plastic or something over the sensor when they're trying to prevent the thing from going off. But they were going off both for loud noise, mostly loud noise in the girls' lavatories, but for the smoke or vaping in the lavatories as well.
Well, you know, it's a shame that, and I don't want to beat this to death here, but when the kids can't use a bathroom because the other kids are vaping, I mean, that's not right. So we got to get a handle on it.
What was set of stocks?
Okay, any other questions for Sam? Thank you, Sam.
You're welcome.
None? Okay. Next is letters, communication, comments by board members on meeting items and any other items in their jurisdiction. So, you, Matthew?
Two things. This Thursday, we're going to be videotaping at SEC TV. We've got 4 mentors going to be interviewed by Joe De La Cruz. It'll be broadcast or cablecast for 3 or 4 weeks to try to recruit some mentors. I'm going to ask SEC TV if we can get a copy of it.
Oh, that'd be great.
That way we could put it up on our website so people could link through it. And then the shows on GMTV and Channel 19, that's going to be pushed back till January, I think.
I haven't made any plans with Jen because she's been out of town. So
Okay.
when I meet with her, see her. her. I will.
Okay, so the second thing is, we had talked about this many, many months ago, about possibly having an employee cost-saving suggestions, where put a box and let people make suggestions. Maybe there'd be a nominal gift certificate for dinner for two somewhere if there's something that's useful. But we have a wonderful crew, and some of them are going to have some good ideas that we might not have thought about. Why not learn from their staff?
Okay. Is that a referral or just a?
That's a referral.
Okay, can you put it in writing and send it to me?
Okay, it's my last referral.
All right, Jen, you have anything?
On one of the social media sites, I saw a parent. On one of the social media sites, I saw one of the parents asking about the bus schedules for kids who are in the magnet program, and I guess they contacted the school, and they were saying that like the nearest bus was like 2 miles away from their house. So other people told them to contact the school, and I'm not sure if anyone contacted the school related to like the busing schedule for magnet school students.
You're talking about inter-district magnets where we send them out?
Not sure. I lay low, and I was just like...
Because intra-district magnets would be different than inter-district. We do have hubs.
Okay, yes. They were talking about their hubs, and it was like 2.6 miles. Oh, no, it's within, because they were saying it was, I think it was Thames River going to Charles Barnum, and that the bus was like 2.2 miles away.
No,
like I said, I was just like laying
We should
low.
call transportation, because that's something we would have to look at.
We've had a few calls, I don't know the name, but we've had a few calls that we've been working with. But
Okay. I can find it again, but I don't want to, like, I never say anything, I just lurk. That was it.
Thank you.
Oh, should I mention that combined committee, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, on October 6th, the Board of Ed, Town Council, and Groton RTM, a couple of people are going to try to meet to relaunch the liaison committee. So I'm trying to get a room at the library, so it's like a neutral location. But if I can't get the library, it will have to be here in CO 11.
I also said Thrive 55 sometimes has those.
Yeah, but doesn't the RTM meet there, so then it wouldn't really be neutral?
I'm sure Jennifer Mealy is the director. She's very supportive of our district.
Okay.
And we have, on the RTM, we have Jackie Massett. On the Town Council, we have Juliet Parker. On the Board of Ed, we have Ian and Jen. And on the City Council, we have Christine Piazza. So we're all set with that. The only way it will not meet, Jen, is we have mediation scheduled that night. So if we have to go to mediation with the GEA, then we'll have to cancel that.
Okay.
But we're hoping not to have to go to mediation. Okay, Adrian.
All right. A few things. One, our chronic absentee numbers are out, and they're up by 1.5% this past year. Where the state fell about 0.5%, we actually went up. And it's over, in the middle school, it's 20.4, 20.6%, or something like that. The kids miss more than, 10% of the school days or something like that?
Yeah,
That's how it's defined.
That's it's defined.
And I'm going to tie this into sports because I know from when my children were in middle school, at least soccer, we were turning away something like 30 kids, mostly in 6th grade, but in 7th grade, that came out and wanted to play soccer because they weren't good enough to make the team. In my own personal opinion, is that in 6th grade, it's the first time that we offer a team sport to kids as a public schools. I mean, I know the rec does it, and Groton, or I guess it would be Groton Soccer Club does it. But that's the first time, and I personally don't think that we should be turning any kids away from sports that want to play in middle school. And, we can talk to Mark Romano about how this can be done so that there's the the team that plays other teams more. And I know that in Cutler, we had a 6th grade team, so we actually have fewer teams now that we have one. We have fewer teams on the current middle school, which is twice the size of Cutler in Westside. So I don't know what happened to inclusion, but in middle school, I really feel that we need to include in sports. And it's chronic absenteeism and fitness, which we're not doing great at. I think only something like 45% of our kids meet state fitness goals. So I don't know if anything can be done about that this year. I would love to know if it can, how much it would cost, and if it's something that we could do. Because it's just a shame to turn a kid away in 6th grade or 7th grade that may turn out to be an athlete in high school and maybe even college, but they just didn't get the start because they couldn't make the team because we didn't have the space. So that's my concern about middle school sports. Other ways to address absenteeism, we'll be talking about that in the next month or two, I think. One thing that I hadn't really thought about, but one of my children mentioned to me, the cell phones in Fitch. And now they're allowed, not in the classrooms or during the day at all, but they're allowed during lunch. And he brought up to me that that's actually the only time during the day when kids interact with each other in a live format. And now that they're all going to have devices in their hands, I'm very curious to see how quiet the cafeteria is. Because we've taken one of the few interaction times that they have and now allowed cell phones in. And I'm not to say that I don't know what the better, I don't know what the best solution for this is, because cell phones are a problem in general. But I would encourage the district to let us know what's happening. And this was a quick change, but things are changing quick. So maybe we can make another quick change if it turns out to be a problem.
Well, a problem.
A problem meaning that kids aren't talking to each other, because I think that's a problem anyway.
What I understand is the way they regulated the policy last year, kids were to keep the cell phones out, away during instructional time, but they could have them in the hallways, and they could have them at lunch, they could have them in non-instructional.
Could they have them in lunch?
I believe so. I'll ask Matt. But now they've tightened it up, and the only time they can have it to check on is during lunch.
Yeah, but they may end
you're
up
right.
they may end up spending whatever lunch is, 30 minutes or something, staring at their phone.
Yeah, they could.
So it's a concern. I think seemed like a valid concern. So I'd like to hear how that's going as it's introduced. And then one last thing, robotics. There's in my eyes, this should have been resolved a long time ago. We need to prioritize this. I mean, we heard the coaches say that robotics really needs their own space. They have their own machinery, and they were starting school, and they need to actually have this stuff set up, and we don't have it figured out yet. And from what it sounded like, I'll be there next week to see what happens at Fitch. But robotics really needs to take, front and center. They're as important as any other extracurricular activity.
I don't think we're not saying they're not important.
No.
So robotics is important to the board.
I shouldn't. I didn't.
Okay, I just want to say that because I don't want Adrian to put it out there that we don't think they're important. We think they are important, but
They are. I shouldn't say that.
But I don't
We do
want
know,
them
but
bumped around. Like, they've been in a vacant school far away. They need to be closer to home. I don't want them in an empty old school building again, temporarily. That was supposed to be temporary.
Yeah, well, it's
So I want them in a
pushing
good
September
place.
1st, and we don't
Well,
have a
we're
plan.
working on it, and we have a fire marshal who needs to weigh
I
in.
guess it's not as easy as we would hope it would be.
Well, we want to make the right decision that will last
Yeah.
for the kids.
Yeah.
Sam, do you think you have a solution for that?
Matthew. He's got the floor.
I'm done.
Okay.
I have a
All right.
question for Adrian.
Go ahead.
So I want to go back to your sports, right? So that we can start thinking about it. Like, are you thinking like a club sport that goes between the schools, and then we have like a intramural league where we have like 5 teams of soccer, and then they just play amongst themselves?
We do have intramurals and
Yeah, we do have some intramural.
Yep.
Okay.
but we used to just have more teams, and I don't know, I would have to ask, you know,
We can
the
get Mark to come
administration
in
to
and
talk to Mark and say, how can we start including more kids in after school? Because in my opinion, there's no reason a kid should go home on the regular bus if they're wanting to stay late. It'll keep them coming to school. It'll benefit them in years to come.
Yeah.
Again, early intervention with these things, I think, can benefit our district.
Okay. Yeah, because I was going to say when my son was at Cutler, they had the intramural and they had I might be using the wrong terms, the club. And so it was sort of like, when you had mentioned that, I was like, oh, did one of them disappear? And like, we don't have that at Groton Middle anymore. Okay.
Dean?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to agree with Adrian on this one on the sports. I can see why we would turn people away. I can see why we would want a smaller roster because you have to staff this. So if 60 kids said, I want to play soccer, you can't just have one coach. You can't have a coach and an assistant coach. You need more bodies. So Romano's got to figure that one out. I'd like him to try to figure that one out. Robotics. I mean, I made a statement before, would it be nice if robotics was home, but then it was pointed out by the coach, we need a heck of a lot of space, and, Fitch doesn't have it. And we all know they've been pulling for Mary Morrison, and the fire marshal has put the kibosh on that one, it sounds like. I wish it was otherwise. I don't know whether there's a technical problem there that could be overcome, but the fire marshal is the last word on that one. And we, as Bev said, it's not as easy as it looks. Should it have been done a long time ago? I suppose. But I know that everybody was really game for saying, hey, we need 5 new rooms at Fitch High School for the robotics team.
She's not saying that, but I think the walkthroughs are going to be important to figure out the space. 5 rooms?
Yeah, she did. She did say that.
They use 4 classrooms because they split the kids all up in these different classrooms.
Because they do different things, yeah.
You just need a classroom.
Well, the one thing, leaving that aside, it was the need to set up in something the size of a gymnasium and leave the setup.
Exactly.
To avoid, it's not impossible to set it up and break it down all the time, but it sounded to me like it was quite a hill to climb to set up and then tear it down because the basketball players are coming into
She
play.
also said she could do a half field. That would be fine. There's no other districts that have had what they've had as far as field usage, so we do want to try to compensate. We do want to make it right for them.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dean.
Now, that's it. Again, I want to thank Matt again for his service. This will be the last opportunity I get to do that publicly, at least. Definitely a worthwhile addition to the board. Good job, Matt.
Andrea, you have anything?
You explain to my cats
Excuse me?
why they haven't eaten yet.
Explain to her cats why they haven't eaten yet.
Because you didn't feed them. Turn your video off, go feed the cats, and come back again. All right, Jay, you have anything? I take that as a no, Andrea.
That's correct.
Okay. Jay, you have anything?
Yeah, I had to step away for a minute. Are we still in communications, or it sounded like we had slipped into referral list? We're on the referral list now, or?
No referral list on this. It's referral list is on the COW.
Okay, all right. Because it sounded like we were doing future agenda topics. So I received a email from the president of the robotics, and he was, concerned about the time it's taken to find the new spot. And I did assure him that many board members are very concerned, and that we understand the value of the program, and that we're committed to finding a permanent home rather than this series of temporary places. You folks may have all received the same email, and we were all just BCC'd, but I just wanted to mention that. And I also did want to say thank you to Matthew for his years of service. You have brought a lot of wisdom to our meetings. And I just want to assure everybody on the board that I have entered all of his emails and transcripts of all of his information into a large language model so that we can consult that going forward. Thank you.
Something called Matt GPT?
Jay, what I've done is I asked them if they had, when they were talking about like employee course sharing suggestion, to put that in writing and make it a referral. But we haven't gone over the referral list.
Okay. Yeah, I did bring that up a few months ago. I thought it was already on the referral list because I had made that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was on the list, but anyway.
I probably didn't get it in writing. You probably said it, but it wasn't in writing.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, future meeting dates and calendar, September 2nd, no finance, only facilities. Okay. Negotiations is September 3rd. September 4th is our special meeting to interview candidates who want to fill in for 2 months on the Board of Education. And then we have COW. We have a conflict on September 9th with policy and ad hoc. We'll have to work that out, I guess. And then you have all the other meetings. One meeting in September, we will go into executive session and talk to Susan about her evaluation. That will be either one of those cows we do it at. We'll do it after one of the cows. And that's it. Anybody have anything else?
I do. Motion to adjourn.
No. Almost.
Once she makes a motion to adjourn, that's it.
I was just going to
Once she makes
quickly.
once she makes a motion to adjourn,
Too late now.
it's too late.
There's no discussion?
No discussion.
No.
No.
Does it have to be second?
I'll second it.
I did second it. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Good night, everybody.
Motion to adjourn by Andrea. Sorry, Adrian. Seconded by Jay.
Killing meeting, but I guess
Okay. All those in favor of adjournment? Aye.
Aye.
We adjourn. 9.